The Nuggets, they were dominant, and they were led by their 28-year-old Serbian superstar Nikola Jokic. The two-time league MVP can now add finals MVP to his resume. He finished Game 5 with a game-high 28 points, 16 rebounds, including 10 in the final quarter. He is now one of 11 players in league history with at least 2 regular season MVPs and another in the finals. More impressively, he becomes the first player ever to lead all players in the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. The young Nuggets have already opened as the odds favorites to win next year's title as well. Next up in the NBA, the draft is a week from Thursday, followed by free agency in July. Major League Baseball, first-place Rangers returned home last night to open a homestand and ran into Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. The game's best player homered twice, drove in 4 to lead the Halos to a 14-inning, 9-6 comeback win. Ohtani now leads the American League with 20 home runs this season. Astros and Round Rock have the night off. Houston opens a series with Washington tonight. Express open a 12-game homestand at Del Diamond, starting with El Paso tonight at 7:05. And finally, surprising news from college softball yesterday, just days after leading Oklahoma to a 3rd straight national title. Their ace pitcher, Jordy Ball, announced she is transferring back to her home state, and she will play at Nebraska next season. As this text says, on to football, on to football. Well, yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is. That's the way sports goes, and you heard Dylan Campbell say it, Mother Nature, rough time. You know, it was about 10:20, I believe, local time, which would make it 8:20 on the West Coast, which is right about sunset, and the lights are just coming on, and, just a terrible time for a high-pop fly.
Yeah, that's a tough way to lose.
In a game that felt like it was trending in the Longhorn direction. It really did. I mean, the momentum was, to me, firmly in the Texas dugout, especially if they had caught that ball, because they had runners on and Stanford had a threat there. Plus, the kid, Rios, had hit the ball off the wall that looked like a home run in the 9th inning. Looked like it was going to be a walk-off dinger. He, of course, thought it was a home run. It hit the bottom of the wall, and he ended up at second base. But, to dodge that bullet and then to get out of the frame with Lucas Gordon on the mound and, going to the bat in the top of the 10th, you kind of just felt like, no guarantees, but you felt good about where the Horns were. The 3-out rally the 3-run rally in the 8th inning to tie the game. Dylan Campbell making that sparkling throw from right field to throw out the tagging runner from second base, one of the better throws you'll see from any outfielder at any level of baseball. Just felt like the Longhorns were trending in a good direction, and then that ball falls harmlessly, and no one ever saw it. Well, I think the only person that saw it was Mitchell Daly, the shortstop. He was running out, realizing that neither of his outfielders saw it, and he was too far to get there, and that's how the game ended. That's how the season ended. That's a tough way to go.
Yeah, it is. It just, that's a tough time of the evening,
yeah,
I guess. And
obviously,
I don't know what else to say. You can't. Neither guy could see the ball.
Right. Yeah. There's mental errors that are made. There are physical errors that are made in baseball and any sport.
And there's just stuff that happens.
There's just bad luck. It's bad luck again, those are 2 of the premier outfielders in college baseball, a 6-year senior in center and if they give out gold gloves in college baseball, Dylan Campbell would certainly get one. So hard to fault those guys. They just never saw the baseball. And, they started that game at 4 o'clock on the West Coast or 5 o'clock on the West Coast. So, for TV purposes.
Yeah, and they don't play that in that part of the country. They don't get the times and how things start to happen. I'm sure you practice, pop flies in the lights, above the lights, in the daylight, in the nighttime. It's just bad luck.
Yeah, not your home park, not used to that California sky. And yeah, you could argue if that game had started at like a 7 o'clock West Coast time and was 10:20 at night, they see that ball pretty clearly because the twilight's gone, the sun's lights are on.
That was another good ball game.
Oh man, great ball game, and really felt like it was going to be a struggle bus for the Longhorns. And obviously Tanner Witt continues to battle his way back, but he's not close to where he wants to be. But man, I thought Zane Morehouse, gave you some really, really good innings last night.
Yeah, he was okay.
Well, he had one rough inning, but other than that 3-run fourth, he gave up, and he got back to being the guy that will walk some guys. But from that point on, he really locked in and, gave you some really, really quality innings to stretch. He went 6 innings in the game, had one bad one, so 5 really strong innings behind Tanner Witt, who only gave you 3 outs. And then Zane Morehouse was outstanding. And so because of that, because you got 6 out of Nightmare and you had Lucas Gordon, who might have been done, that might have been it for him, that they caught that baseball. Yeah, you had Charlie Hurley and Ace Whitehead rolling up in the bullpen there, so you still had some fresh arms down at the end. I thought the game really flipped for Stanford And when once again, Ryan Bruno, their closer, came in the game in the middle of the ball game, and he was the one that walked the bases loaded essentially the other night when the Longhorns came back to steal game 1 of the series, and they brought him back out and he threw a 4-pitch walk. I mean, then the last one was in the dirt, and they went and said, "We're going to get this guy, get him out of here." Well, that really hurt their bullpen because they had to go to Drew Dowd, their other lefty, a lot sooner than they wanted to. And at that point, you're starting to look at the number of outs you can get, and they were going to get pretty deep into their bullpen at that point because Bruno only gave you 1 batter and didn't record an out. And then you had to get Drew Dowd onto the field, and then Matt Scott, who the Longhorns rallied against Dowd and Scott for that 3-run 8th inning. So you were into the part of the bullpen that you wanted to be in, it felt like, but obviously never got to come back to bat again, and that's the way the season ended. It's I would say it was more than a pop-up this summer. It was 7 seconds in the air is a long hang time. It was a sky-high pop, but as you said, Buck, can of corn. That's a ball.
Yeah.
Normally, with normal conditions, they catch 100 times out of 100, and had plenty of time to camp under it and make a play. But if you can't see it, you simply can't see it, and that'll go down as one of the tougher ways to end a season in Longhorn baseball history. I have to imagine that was really, really tough. And best of luck to Stanford. They'll now advance and play Wake Forest down in Omaha, and the Longhorns will start working towards next season for Coach David Pierce. But a tough one for sure. I just felt like the Longhorns were gonna find a way to win that game, which I didn't think they were gonna do for most of the ball game. When they fell behind 3-0 early, then 6-3, you're thinking, okay, this is getting tough. But Zane Morehouse's performance and the big rally, Stanford kept running themselves into outs with terrible base running in this game, and it just felt like, man, Texas is gonna go ahead and steal this game, just like they did game 1.
It looked a lot like that.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like in this series, Stanford was the better ball club, like just total package. But they were making careless mistakes, it felt like, and their pitching was not where they wanted it to be, and but then again the ball dropped and the game's over.
That's a good Stanford team, though.
Pretty good.
My goodness.
Pretty good. They're more veteran than Texas, pretty stocked with the lineup, and I mean the Longhorns. One of the reasons they had their chances is Tommy Troy, their first round draft pick at third base, didn't have a huge series at all. Longhorns controlled him pretty well. Alberto Rios. He was the Pac-12's Player of the Year. He was the one that hit the ball off the wall. Longhorns controlled him pretty well. He had that double. They ended up scoring the winning run. But, obviously if they make the catch, it's not a winning run. But Rios, they controlled him for the weekend. Malcolm Moore and Drew Bowser really.
Yeah, Bowser. I mean, he's got a little bit more power than he looks like he should have.
He's a second baseman. But he hit another home run, obviously early in that game off of Tanner Witt.
It was his 3rd home run.
Yeah, in 3 games. He had a home run in each one of those ball games. And but you kind of weathered their best players, you felt like, and you were into the part of the bullpen you wanted to be in. You had the momentum, and that's how it comes to an end. So it's one of those season ends. You can't do anything about it. You got to move on. But it felt like that was your season should have been or could have been extended if you can make that play. So the Longhorns see it fall harmlessly. Season over, and now we'll start looking forward to next year and looking forward to what should be a heck of a College World Series. Because if you're adding it up, you now have Stanford, who was a top 8 national seed, joining there are 6 top 8 national seeds in Omaha, including the number 1 team in the country, Wake Forest, who's obviously a really, really good ball club. Florida's number 2 in the country. They're there. LSU's a top 3-4 team. They're there. The only 2 outliers are TCU and Oral Roberts.
Yep.
TCU is a 2 seed who's playing as good as anybody in the country right now. And as we remember, we talked to Craig Way yesterday in a preview of the game. TCU started the year as a top 15 team, struggled through about half of the year, and then really have turned this thing on and gotten some great pitching, and their batting lineup has come to life. So TCU will be somebody to deal with, and they're going to face Oral Roberts, who, as we told you yesterday, have won 36 of their last 38 ball games. And
they're feeling it.
When TCU gets to Omaha, their first matchup will be against Oral Roberts when they get there. So we'll look forward to that this weekend. Unfortunately, Longhorn fans
over there with numbers.
You probably think
with
so.
Runs, wow.
Yeah, Longhorn fans will think, man, we should have been facing Wake Forest. But Stanford, the better ball club, they get the victory 7-6. Season comes to an end. T.Y., can you think of worse endings than that? Worse endings than that for Longhorns or for your favorite team? Well, I don't want to bring up the Nelson Cruz situation in the Ranger game, but that's similar in that. But Nelson Cruz should have made the play. I can't fault either Texas player for not making the play if you don't see the ball.
Yeah, he mishandled the ball, really.
Yeah, I thought, Nelly Cruz in 2011 didn't give you what I thought would be max effort, sellout effort to catch a final out of a ball game.
I would have rather lost the walk-off home run That didn't happen.
I think that, you know what, I thought
Oh,
the
that
same
dude
thing
hit
as
the bottom of that dude hit the bottom of the wall, and he was jogging in and almost got. What was he doing?
You should have been. I think he should have been out for the fact that he threw his helmet onto the.
Well, there's two pieces of controversy there. A, the Stanford players run out of the dugout and were somewhat on the field. But they thought it was a home run too off the bat, but it obviously had a lot of topspin on it. It felt like, and sunk into the base of the fence.
Boy, did it ever!
And
he was on a slight jog almost.
He threw his helmet in the air.
I'm like, dude, you better get the hump.
And that was with 2 outs. I mean, you tag him out right there, you're going to the top of the 10th.
Yeah, that was controversial, and David Pierce came to argue that.
They were fortunate on that.
Yeah, and there is a rule that you have to have a helmet on, and he did not. He threw his helmet down, and there could have been an out. I don't think the hometown officials umpires are going to call that. There was also the situation with Porter Brown when he put his hand into the oncoming curveball that was called a strike, and he struck out in that spot earlier in the game on a hit batter, and there was no doubt he put his hand into the ball. But at the same time, that was a struggle because that was ball 4.
I think that was the right call, though.
I do too.
We got that ump was helping us out with some strike zone stuff.
Yeah, that guy's strike zone was tight. Lucas Gordon even dealt with that a little bit in the 9th inning. Everybody was. That was a skinny, narrow license plate of a strike zone. But yeah, Porter Brown did stick his hand into it. But the frustrating part, if you're a Longhorn fan, was he didn't have to. That was ball 4. I mean, just get out of the way, and you're going to go down to first base. And but somewhat controversial, at least where David Pierce was arguing. They've reviewed it, and it was pretty obvious. Yeah, but in the end, it's just frustrating. That's just the word. I mean, it's baseball. It's a game. It's sports. And there's going to be a thrill of victory and an agony of defeat, and that's just a tough way. I don't think they're not going to call the guy out for throwing his helmet when he thought he was celebrating. The rule says you have to have a helmet on when you're on the base path, so he couldn't have stayed without the helmet on once he went back to second base. That's against the rules. For a brief moment, his helmet was off, and that would have been a ticky-tack call in my mind. But the Texas fans are also complaining about the quality of lights at Stanford. That's probably fair too. Not the best lighting system, but man, that's playing on the road. It
really sucks that it was between the 2 guys that carried the team all year, though.
Yeah, well,
Dylan Campbell and Eric Kennedy.
Well, and certainly in this weekend, those 2 guys here, your power source, your run producers, and then getting 2 of the best outfielders in college baseball. I mean, we go back to the Miami series when Eric Kennedy brought back a 3-run homer that saved an early.
Oh, yeah.
And Dylan Campbell's made play after play after play and showed his howitzer again on that cannon throw to throw out the tagging runner in the 8th inning. Just it's
that counts as a hit, wouldn't it? That's not an error.
It's a hit. It's a hit.
It's a hit.
Walk-off single is how the game ended. It's how it's in the scorebook. Not an error. They just didn't see it, and then that's the ruling in baseball. And really tough. Bad time of night, the whole thing. So Longhorn season comes in. I'll hear more from Craig Way coming up with the Craig Way Report and talk some Texas baseball. Already start to look at the roster and who could return. You just never know these days. We saw it in basketball. We'll see it in baseball.
I can say this. They'll need some pitching next year. They'll need to get in that portal and get some older guys pitching, I would think.
Well, they did that last year. I thought they did a nice job of bringing in the Charlie Hurleys and developing LeBaron Johnson Jr., who's likely to be a draft pick now. I mean, no one would have thought LBJ was going to be a draft pick at the high levels when this season began, but he's pitched his way into a guy that the major league scouts are going to say, man, we got to get a hold of that guy.
Yeah, and Dylan Campbell's a junior, correct?
Yep.
He may be gone though, right?
Yeah, that's the uncertainty. I mean, it's you just don't know. You feel let's not want anybody transferring. He feels like this team was very close and likes playing with one another. But Jalen Flores and Jared Thomas, the 2 freshmen who started this year, will both likely be back to anchor the roster. Dylan Campbell is a junior and could head out. I mean, that's going to be a question for he and his family. Very likely could. Tanner Witt obviously has a decision to make. He's draft eligible, but he probably heads to the major league draft. But he didn't show a lot. Coming back, he's just not there yet. Coming off Tommy John surgery, so that's a situation you'll have to see. Lucas Gordon is a junior. Again, it's just you got to play it out. But yeah, then you hit the portal, and you're gonna have to add some pitching. I do think much like we talk about with Texas football quite a bit that. Development is big. Players want to come where they're not just going to get to play and try to get to Omaha, but also get better and develop their craft. I think Woody Williams, in his first year as the pitching coach at Texas, showed a lot of folks that, hey, this guy can develop pitchers. This guy can really, Lucas Gordon was rock all year. And the LBJ LeBaron Johnson Jr. development has just been tremendous. And even Zane Morehouse, who battled and throughout the year, but by the end of the season was pitching his best baseball and really gave you a big shot in the arm last night with 6 really good innings. That's what when you're selling into the portal or recruits, Buck. You're looking for, we're gonna have a chance to go to Omaha every year, and we're gonna develop you for the next level and for your future in baseball. I think Woody Williams has signaled.
Oh yeah,
he can do that as a former major league pitcher himself, coming in from junior college. Put some skins on the wall this year that can be beneficial for the Longhorns on the. Well,
there was
market.
no quit in that group. I'll tell you what, they just kept on battling inning after inning. They give up 3, get 3 back, give up 3 more. Just kept coming back.
Yep. Well, they were gritty, and Coach Pierce said it all year. The strength of the team is the team, and I thought they showed that again last night. And that's why it was looking kind of bleak. Not bleak. There's momentum in baseball, and it felt like Stanford had the momentum from the jump because they got the 3-run lead, and then Texas tied it, and they took another 3-run lead. So through 7 innings, it just felt like this was Stanford's ball game, and they were going to move on to Omaha. But Texas stole the momentum back with that 3-run 8th-inning rally, and then the great defensive play, and then Lucas pitching out of it. You had Lucas Gordon on the mound, who was kind of gaining in confidence there in that 9th inning with his stuff, and you're about to come to bat. And it just felt like the momentum was wearing burnt orange at that time, and for the game to end that way was big-time disappointing for the Longhorns. So we'll take your thoughts on this team throughout the course of the morning, of course. Got 4 hours to do it. We'll hear from Craig Way coming up. Also in the NBA, I had the 2 TV setup going last night with my iPad, trying to keep up with the Nuggets and Heat. The fourth quarter was pretty damn compelling because the Heat had a 10-point lead in this game. Nuggets looked sluggish for a good 3 quarters of that ball game. But Nikola Jokic, Buck, imploring his team on the bench. They play the really good fourth quarter, stretch the lead, get behind that home crowd.
Yeah, I never felt like the Heat had enough points to just say, okay, now they can cruise to a 5-point victory or a 4-point. It's going to get close anyway.
Right.
But they just you never had that feeling that they had the game in control because they were ready to go in the beginning of the game.
Well, Jokic is able to get, at the end of the game when it was a close game, you saw him just get, give me the ball, I'm going to get a layup right here.
Oh, yeah.
Almost every single time.
Yeah. And they got to 90 full. Denver, the efficiency of the Nuggets offense, I thought Eric Spoelstra and his team did a good job. To keep that group under 100 points is really impressive. That's a good night
for sure
defensively. But to Ty's point, and to your point, they didn't have enough scoring when they needed it. And they couldn't stop Nikola Jokic when they needed to. He was just. It
was very similar to how the Heat, how the Heat beat them. The game where they just kind of, that fourth quarter, you're like, not enough points, guys. It's not enough.
And Tyler Hero never played in the series, and obviously the Heat are going to have to go out and find some more scoring punch. Max Strus and some of those guys who were heroes for their run through this playoff run.
Is Jimmy Butler somebody you build around? He's
sure.
older.
Well, he's 32.
Yeah,
He's 32 to be 33 next year, so he's still a really good player. You got probably two more
good years out
of him. There's been talk of Damian Lillard, and that'll all play out into July. But we know that the Nuggets are locked in and ready to go on a run here. I've compared it to the Spurs' 1999 championship because there are a lot of parallels. The Spurs' first of their dynastic run with Tim Duncan in his second year. And, young superstar like Jokic, Tim Duncan's a good comparison there. Young, humble, quiet superstar. And then, they win their first championship with a dominant playoff run. The Spurs that year went 15-2 in the playoffs. The Nuggets, in their 20 playoff games, went 16-4. They never faced an elimination game. They lost 2 to Phoenix. That was it. But they swept the Lakers, 1 loss each to the to Minnesota and to the Miami Heat. Really, really impressive. And as we've talked about, their best players are young, under contract, and ready to come back. And as I mentioned in the headlines, they're already the odds favorite to win it again next year.
Yeah, they missed Tyler Hero in this series. They missed his shooting.
Scoring, yeah. He's a liability defensively, which sometimes can get on Eric Spoelstra's nerves as a defensive coach. But, yes, they needed points. And the Nuggets had no peer. Really, really impressive run to the playoffs. All right, we'll pick up these conversations. Nuggets champs and Longhorn season ends. Here's a nice text. It says, guys played their hearts out. Couldn't ask for more. That game breaks your heart. This says, hopefully. This says, guys, is a baseball fan, but by no means a Stanford fan. Credit to the Cardinal for rallying from the losers bracket or 1 game down in both weekends. They did that. So that's credit to Stanford. They're gritty as well. They, of course, had to come through the losers bracket to win their regional, and then drop that first. And a lot of teams would have folded, losing that 3-run ninth inning lead, and Stanford certainly did not. They got the great performance from their Quinn Matthews in Game 2, and then found a way to win this one last night, 7-6. We'll come back, Craig Way, with more on his report coming up. We'll have some fun as well. It is a Tuesday into the summertime, talking with you on B&E, just getting warmed up. Viking Fence, that's right. You know that they're the best fence company in Austin, Texas. Have been, or you don't know, you should know. That's why we're telling you about it, but hopefully you know. And with their wood privacy fences, permanent fences, commercial or residential. But if you are an event planner or contractor and you use temporary rental fence and need that perimeter security on the regular, you got to have Viking Fence always at your beck and call there on your speed dial. Just call them up because they are the best when it comes to that. If you've got a project, an event, and it's that time of year for events and things happening through the summertime, Viking Fence will be there. And the great thing about Viking is it's kind of stealthy. You don't even know them. They're going to set it up, tear it down, take care of all of your needs and whatever they might be as far as fencing goes. Perimeter security, of course, lighting they can provide as well, bathroom services if you need them, so that you can simply focus on your event and running it to its highest level. Also getting that project done, staying on budget, staying on time. Viking has that for you. They also have that damage waiver rate, which will save you on those untimely chargebacks. They've got it all for you. They're insured and bonded. Viking Fence is the best. For the wood, iron, chain link fences, they're permanent, or temporary rental fence division is the top of the line without a doubt. 837-6411 is the phone number for Viking Fence. They've been doing this since 1972, still locally owned and operated after 5+ decades. 837. Also find them online. Just go to the website, vikingfence.com. See the galleries. Get a quote there. Finance your project at vikingfence.com. When you think fence in the ATX, there is one name. Think Viking.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away.
Yeah, no sunshine this morning for the Longhorns, and it was that twilight sky that got the Horns in a 6-6 game in the ninth inning. What would have been the third out and sent the game to 10th, and extras fell to the ground, and the twilight was a huge factor. And, Dylan Campbell never saw the baseball, nor did Eric Kennedy. Saw a tweet from our friend Greg Swindell, a lifetime Longhorn legend, said, gut-wrenching, twilight's been part of the game forever, but damn, that's bad timing. No one is to blame.
Yeah, unusual when two guys don't see it, you know?
And you could tell neither of them saw it off the bat.
Yeah.
And if it goes as high as it did, and you didn't see it off the bat, you have no idea. You're just, looking up and,
Plus you're wondering if the other guy sees it, you got it.
Yeah, that's, as I mentioned, I think the only guy that saw it was Mitchell Daly, who was playing shortstop, and he saw it off the bat, so he was able to track it.
It was sort of a weird night, too. I mean, even here, it didn't get dark till seemed like it was 9:15 or
What's
something.
up with that? The
days are getting longer.
I mean, it was long. It was
days
it
get
was
longer
light
as you get
outside a long time. Until 9:15 or so. That seemed kind of weird last night.
I don't think it was that late, but I'll have to look at the sunset time. But, it's, moving up on the summer equinox, which is the longest day of the year from sun up to sundown.
Thought maybe we had it last night.
Might have. Well, that'll be coming. They're not far from it. So, as you get closer to the exact one, the days are longer and longer.
Man.
And, of course, it was only 8:20 out there, 8:20, 8:25 on the West Coast. It was 10:25 here. So, 2-hour difference on the West Coast. But Greg Swindell finished his tweet saying, love this team. They deserve better. Keep your heads high, chins up, proud of the accomplishment. Also, Kendall Rogers of D1Baseball.com had a interesting tweet. Said the twilight at Stanford is a real thing. By the way, he pointed out Texas A&M last week lost 2 balls in similar fashion that led to runs for Stanford. Difficult to see the ball at night if you're not used to it. And for Stanford, you give them credit, right? If your team doesn't win, but Stanford faced 4 elimination games over 2 weekends and won every one of them. And so that's a gritty group that'll head to the College World Series for the 3rd year in a row.
And some good baseball games.
Great baseball. And that's why I say I think you're going to see some really great baseball when we get to Omaha. That's why you wish the Longhorns were a part of it. But, man, Wake Forest, you got the 6 of the top 8 national seeds that are there. Not a lot of huge upsets. Oral Roberts is the absolute outlier. TCU is a bit of a surprise. But, man, the rest of it is because TCU went through Arkansas, and Arkansas was a top 8 and a team that a lot of people thought had a high opinion of.
Right.
TCU took that away. Oral Roberts went to Vanderbilt, and Oral Roberts went to Stillwater. Oral Roberts took out Oklahoma State, who was so disappointing, if memory serves. But, yeah, they'll all head to Omaha this weekend. Longhorns will be headed home, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to David Pierce to wrap up our conversations for the year because proud of this group. They reached I think getting to the round of 16, getting through the Coral Gables Regional, won a share of the Big 12 championship. And, when the season began with all the new players and new coaches, I think this thing is now on a good trajectory, and you got to go add more pieces and build around what's back. And that'll be the challenge for the Longhorns moving forward. But it'll be disappointing, certainly, to watch the College World Series and not be a part of it coming up this weekend. We're also talking about Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets winning the NBA championship last night. We know this is a humble, non-braggadocious superstar, right? But if you're watching last night and they're doing the celebration, Nikola Jokic wanted no part of it. I mean, he's just standing in the back. And then how about this quote from this guy? Because this is a guy who raises horses in Serbia, his hometown or his home country in the offseason. And he was asked about winning the championship, and with just really a deadpan face said, the job is done. We can go home now.
Time to go home.
We can go home now.
Time to go to work.
And he actually seemed very disappointed that the parade they're going to have in Denver is not till Thursday.
He's ready to go home.
Yeah, it's only Monday. He's like, wait, what do you mean? The parade's Thursday? I'm ready to go I'm ready to go home to my horses. What are we doing? So, yeah, he's going to have to hung out. And he wanted to go back to the mountains and, do his thing. Remember when on 2 occasions when he won the first MVP award, he was in Serbia, and they had to take it to him to give him his regular season MVP. And when he signed his new mega contract, the reports say that he agreed to it. Said, yeah, just bring it to me, I'll sign it. I'm sure you could have done that over, some type of electronic signing. DocuSign, but that was a lot of zeros, man. That's a big contract.
No, I'm going to put that in your hand and take it back myself.
Yes, they flew to him, and he signed his contract and got that Supermax deal. But they're happy to have him at 28 years old. And 16-4 run through the playoffs. We'll talk about some of the numbers that Nikola Jokic put up. But you like it when a guy we saw it with Tim Duncan here for years. Really quiet guy, doesn't really want the limelight. But man, what a player! What a player! Just a rare package. Maybe one of the more unique, players we've seen in the history of the NBA, history of basketball. Does things at his size that no other player has ever done. That's why, as I said, he's the first player ever to lead all every player in the playoffs who made it. He scored more points than any player in the playoffs. He's had more rebounds and had more assists. Yeah, it's never been done.
No, he's got the total package. I mean, that team that's a very young team that they don't do anything but add pieces to that group.
And just get better. Yeah, I mean, Michael Malone, the head coach, afterwards said, "We're not done. We want
Post
more."
Malone's got a good team.
He does, and there's Michael Porter Jr. is only 24 years old, 6'10", stud who could get better. Aaron Gordon is a young player, obviously, and
Aaron Gordon is just such a physical monster. Once again, last night.
Well, and if you were, this guy says so happy for Jamal Murray on the text line. That's true. Coming back from that knee injury, being doubted. I mean, that guy played in the playoffs like an all first team All NBA player. If he does that team's unbeatable. And this is Shaq and Kobe revisited. You have the best big man in the league and a first team All NBA wing with the other players we talked about. That's I shouldn't say unbeatable. That's a little bit too emphatic, but they're going to be really tough to beat. A la Golden State when the Splash Brothers came online and the Spurs back in the day, as we've mentioned. But Denver, and I love that quote. That's one of my new favorites.
Yeah,
the job is done. We can go home now.
Yeah, that's a group that'll find another shooter to go along with their size, and that'll be a problem for a long time.
Long time. Well, and you give them credit for guiding guys like Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and guys of that nature who are just really, really nice pieces going around. I mean, those big four, those are your top four players are all young and uber talented. That is a really, really strong nucleus. So you're right. And there are a lot of good players that you could put around those guys that are going to be very good complements to what they do, whether they're shooters or defenders. And as you said, Buck, guys are going to want to play with that guy. And here's the thing with Nikola Jokic, which I'm heard Eric Spoelstra talking about a little bit throughout the course of this series, the head coach of the Heat. He's just such a problem because, as you saw last night, they wouldn't double him. They were staying in that zone, and he was able to use his low post moves and his footwork to get whatever he wanted, scoring 10 of his 26 in the fourth quarter, or 28 in the fourth quarter. But if you trap him,
he'll kill you then.
He'll kill you. But then they got to where they were, okay, well, let's trap Jamal Murray. Let's get the ball out of his hands. Well, then what happening is Murray immediately pivots to get it to Nikola Jokic, who then it's 4-on-3 because you're trapping Jamal Murray, and he's always going to find the open guy. I mean, Nikola Jokic from his air traffic tower up there is going to find whoever is unguarded. And
like Ty said, then he got a lot of one-on-ones late in the game. And when he got one-on-one, that was it. When you decided everybody was going to, you cover him, we're not going to double team him, then he said, okay.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to double me, then I'm going to take whoever you have posting up behind me, and I'm going to find a way to get to the rim.
And great footwork, old school Kevin McHale-like low post moves, getting to the basket with a soft touch and a soft finish. Just says that Walmart money spends good. First the Rams, now the Nuggets. That's true. That is the Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke is the owner of the Denver Nuggets. He also is the owner of the LA Rams. And yes,
I'm rich.
Very much so. The Walmart fortune is pretty good. It's not the Saudi fund, but it's not bad. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't realize he was a Walmart guy.
Who?
Stan Kroenke.
Yeah. Well, he married into the Walmart. Well, he's also a developer, Kroenke. Yeah, he married.
He had some coin
Walmart
himself.
Yes,
he got a little bit by himself.
I'm sure it was a nice wedding.
Yes.
Sure, it was quite nice. Hey, I hated to see that Pat Sajak is retiring, Buck. Pat Sajak, the longest-running game show host ever of all time, is retiring from the Wheel of Fortune. This upcoming season, September, will be his last.
He's got to be about 73, 74 years old. Wow.
41st season on the Wheel of Fortune, and he is letting her go. You know who he replaced 41 seasons ago?
I do not have a clue.
Chuck Woolery.
Chuck Woolery, who's been on every game show possible.
Who now I think lives out at Horseshoe Bay.
Horseshoe Bay, yeah. Fishes
all the time.
Yeah,
with all the football coaches
yep.
out there. Yeah, man. It is Pat Sajak walking away.
Yeah, those hot toddies and those high balls are good at lunchtime to him. He's aged well.
Yeah, he still looks good. Remember the failed Pat Sajak late-night talk show? That was a bad idea. That lasted for about a year. That was almost as bad as, remember when Magic Johnson did the Magic Hour?
I think Vanna's the one who should have had a talk show. Vanna and her girls. That should have happened.
We have our B&E Fact of the Day segment coming up, but I think it's a fact that I've read that Vanna White has never worn the same outfit twice on that show.
And she gets to keep the gear.
Yeah. Like what kind of closet does she have? How many shows have they
She's
done?
got a house that's just a closet.
Yeah. I mean, it's new outfits over and over again, and she always looks the part, does a good job. And I need to figure out when it went from when she would flip the squares or to just light up. She just has to.
How old is Vanna? She's got to be 60-something, doesn't she?
Is she retiring as well?
Well, I think they're a package deal, aren't they? You can't keep one and not the other. That's what I would say. It's like Batman and Robin. But Vanna White.
Wasn't her daughter like doing it? Who was starting to flip
66. Well, you know who's been appearing on the Wheel of Fortune show now is Pat Sajak's daughter.
Oh, okay. It's Pat's daughter. Okay.
And she could replace Vanna, or she could replace Dad, whichever one. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the show will go away. But people love that show, so I doubt it. But he's ready to call it a day. That's what I like about Vanna, right? She just stayed in her lane. She just said, I got the easiest job in Hollywood.
Nope, that's right. I'll
make a fortune.
I'm not doing any talk shows. I'm good right here.
I don't need to do soap operas.
No.
I don't need to do...
I can do 25 shows in one sitting.
No. Telenovelas. I'm just going to go ahead and push letters. Push letters, smile big, and have some fun and cut it up with Pat. Drink margaritas at lunch with Pat. You know what I'm saying?
She's got nice teeth.
Just
and a nice mouth.
That's right. I don't need to stress myself. We'll do this thing. All right, we'll come back with some other B&E facts of the day. See you later to Pat Sajak at the end of this year and possibly Vanna White. We'll get the other B&E facts. First, though, here's Craig Way with more from Palo Alto.
Folks, don't delay your dental care any longer. See Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star group of professionals. They do everything from general dentistry to the most advanced work. And I have my teeth restored in just 2 visits with the great doctor. And I've had this smile for over 6 years right now. And I couldn't be happier with what Dr. Eckert has done for me. And he can do the same for you. Plus, if you're interested in dental implants, this is the guy that you want to see. Turn that frown upside down in just one day. Leave with a smile. You may come in with a frown, but you will leave with a smile with those dental implants. Find out if you're a candidate for dental implants today by giving him a call at 512-345-3166. And if you also want to become a new patient, do get contact with Dr. Eckert. He is taking on new patients today, as a matter of fact. And as I said, if you've got dental anxiety, this is the guy that you want to go see. Please do not delay on that dental care because you're scared to see the dentist. There are a lot of folks in your same shoes, but if you have to have IV sedation, Dr. Eckert will have that just for you too. But the dental implants, as I said, have a smile in just one day. But do give them a call at 512-345-3166 or 1,400 cases of restoring teeth, and that's not a hobby, believe me. That's exactly what he does. 27 years of service. You're going to love him just like we do too. And you're going to also love the smile that Dr. Eckert will bring to you. Extractions, teeth cleaning, teeth whitening. He also does general dentistry. Once again, his telephone number, 512-345-3166. He's our dentist. Should be your dentist also.
Blinded by the lights, wrapped up like a douche in a
Good choice there, T.Y. Blinded by the twilights in Palo Alto. The California skies were troubling for the Horns. Not the first team to deal with it, but came at a really bad time for the Horns. Their season comes to an end. They're not going to Omaha. Stanford is for the third straight year. They'll be in Omaha. And as we said, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top 8 national seeds going to Omaha. Wake Forest, Florida, Stanford, and LSU. They were number 1, 2, 6, and 7 coming into this tournament, coming into this weekend. Virginia is number 11 in the country. They're going as well. The teams that were top seeds, Buck, that didn't make it to Omaha: Clemson, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Miami, who Texas eliminated. Texas almost eliminated 2, or had a chance to eliminate 2 top 8 national seeds on their way to Omaha, which would have been quite the feat because, of course, we know they would have met Wake Forest, the number 1 team, when they got there. But it ended in that 9th inning disappointment without a doubt. Also, some B&E facts of the day, Buck. How about Nikola Jokic? First player drafted outside the top 15 to win both Finals MVP and regular season MVP. First guy ever to do that. Every other previous number 1, guy who's won an MVP and a Finals MVP had been drafted in the top 15 picks of the draft.
Wow.
He was drafted 41st back in the day by the Denver Nuggets and has developed into the best player in the world. Also off the bench in Denver is Christian Brown, the Kansas Jayhawk. He's the 5th player to win a national title and an NBA title in consecutive years. Won the national title with the Jayhawks.
Yep. Then
wins the NBA title. He's kind of spoiled at this point because wasn't he a one-and-done guy at Kansas? So this guy comes out of high school. Ty, will you look up and see if Christian Brown won a high school state championship of some kind? That would be some kind of run because he was one-and-done at Kansas. They won the Natty for Bill Self. Now he's in his first year in Denver, championship. The other players who have done that, Billy Thompson, Magic Johnson, Henry Bibby, and Bill Russell won a NCAA championship, and then
San
1 year
Francisco,
later won the NCAA.
Yep, he won 3 straight 6A state titles and was Mr. Kansas basketball.
He's on a roll.
Hold on. So this guy has won a championship for 5 consecutive years?
Yep.
That's got to be a record. That's
his high school they declared a day that's called Christian Braun Day. That's how big of an impact he had there.
So 3 straight state titles,
Brown.
and now a national champion.
Winning.
Something up with this guy. I want him on my team. And he had some big points big moments in that series. And he's one of those another emerging players on a very talented Nuggets roster. Thanks for looking that up, Ty. That's a piece of trivia.
Yeah, he's found his way in with that group right now.
I wonder if that's ever happened before.
That's got to be a record. I mean, we just mentioned
You
Bill.
said 3?
3 straight high school 6A state championships in Kansas.
Wow. That is, how old is this guy? This guy is 22 years old, so he's won a championship every year since he's like 16 or 17 years old. What's going to happen when he loses?
Filling up the ring case.
What's going to happen with that baby-faced kid when he doesn't win one?
It's like Kyler Murray when he got to the NFL.
Until he got there.
Might go into a severe depression if they ever don't win it. He's going to be despondent. Also, we have to give you our seemingly every morning Shohei Ohtani fact of the day. He hit 2 home runs against the Rangers last night. Angels rallied to beat the Rangers in 14 innings, and it was Shohei's second home run that was different. He's now got 20 home runs on the year. He struck out over 100 batters as a pitcher. No other player in Major League Baseball has ever done this, where third straight season with at least 20 home runs and over 100 strikeouts as a pitcher. Even the Babe Ruth comparisons are starting to go away. He's just doing stuff no one's ever done.
Surgical at the plate.
He's so good.
Not even halfway.
Well,
get that dude on a team that people care about.
It's unreal.
Get him on your Yankees, Buck.
Eventually.
The amazing part for me with watching Shohei Ohtani is listening to Major League Baseball players talk about Shohei Ohtani. Like, not us. We can all be in awe of it, but at the same time, other players who are among the elite at what they do, realizing just how effortless he makes and how hard that is to, pitch one game and then come back and be in the lineup and be that good at both. And it's really, really unbelievable. All right, so there's some good B&E facts of the day. We'll come back, reset the frustrating headline for Longhorn fans. Also, the NBA Finals in the books. We'll dive into our Coach's Corner. Where is DeAndre Hopkins? going to play NFL football next year. He had a visit yesterday. We'll tell you where, as we'll get some offseason NFL conversations going as well. B&E on a busy Tuesday on 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. Always stream it. Take it wherever we go on your Horn app, always on your smart speaker, and always at hornfm.com. Start them up. That's your Tuesday. Unfortunately for Longhorn baseball fans and, of course, the team, they're headed back to Austin, not to Omaha. I guess they would have come home first on their way to Omaha, but coming home for good. That's how baseball go, I guess. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains, and sometimes you lose the ball in the lights, or in the twilight, as it were. We'll hear from David Pierce coming up. Disappointed after the game, but proud of his team. Also, we'll start turning our attention, Buck, with the NBA Finals in the books and the Longhorn season over. U.S. Open in golf teeing off on Thursday morning out in the
and let them know
Beverly
you need to get
Hills.
those buck-ons and buck-offs in.
Yeah, Beverly Hills, California area. Yeah, get your buck-ons and buck-offs in. We'll remind you about that coming up. Also coming up, the NFL has issued a list of 6 main rules for players when it comes to gambling and not gambling in the NFL if you don't want to get cross with the National Football League, which is becoming more and more of a problem. We'll also let you know how you can provide your buck off for Thursday. But I was looking at this, John Bodenheimer, Buck, of the USGA, the chief of the U.S. Golf Association, talking about the Los Angeles Country Club where they will play the U.S. Open.
That's a beauty, too.
Oh, man, and lovely Beverly Hills, California.
Wow.
Safe to say. I'd like to see that
There's
membership
nice
list.
hotels behind. Oh, no, those aren't hotels. Those are condos. That it's right behind their main headquarters.
You'll see a house that you think is a hotel that really is the Erin Spelling mansion.
Yeah.
And the Erin Spelling who
There's
created
some
all
houses you keep thinking that are the clubhouse.
No, those are houses.
Those are just houses. Those
Playboy
aren't the
Mansion,
clubhouse.
too. Playboy Mansion's behind the 13th green, I believe. Yeah, it's a nice area of town. But the USGA chief said if we get conditions that we hope for and the weather cooperates and we get bounciness and firm, fast conditions, we think the best players in the world will rise to the top. At this place, when the ball hits the ground, it will go all over the place.
Well, it's got wide fairways.
But they're sloped. He says you must shape your ball in certain ways to keep it on the fairway. One that slopes right to left or left to right. You have to hit it in the right side of the or to keep it in the fairway. Players will have to think their way around this course, and the player that does that and does their homework will do better. Strategic nuances coming their way Thursday for the United States Open. Tougher the course usually favors a guy named Brooks Koepka.
Yes.
Just saying. And our man Scotty Scheffler has been the best player in the world tee to green this year and one of the best ever, historic, how good he's been tee the green, but then he struggles on the green, which can be a problem at the U.S. Open. The greens are typically very difficult. So
the rough isn't as thick as it was last week even.
Yeah. Well, we'll get Los Angeles. The scenery is going to be very nice there. Very nice.
Absolutely.
Should be fun. So that's coming up Thursday. We got a lot to do and discuss from last night. As we get you going on this Tuesday morning, we'll get to those top stories coming. First, the news, headlines, trending topic. UBO Business Services and, college baseball. A pretty epic super regional final. Quite a game in Palo Alto last night. Unfortunately for Texas, it ended on the agonizing side and with an inexplicable ending to the game and to the Longhorn season. It was Texas and Stanford. Winner advances to Omaha Game 3. Went back and forth. Stanford jumped out early, 3-0 lead. Drew Bowser hit another home run. That's 3 straight games in the second. Horns, though, responded. 3 spot of their own with a 2-out rally in the 4th inning. Cardinal immediately added 3 more in the bottom of the 4th to retake that lead, and that lead held all the way until the 8th inning when Texas again rallied. Peyton Powell, a big double to score a couple, and then a big 2-out single from Dylan Campbell knotted the game at 6. That's where we were in the 9th inning when Texas ace Lucas Gordon had come out of the bullpen, and he had a couple runners on board, but 2 outs in the inning there and he coaxed a high sky fly ball from Stanford's Drew Bowser that really should have ended the inning, sent the game to extra frames, but neither center fielder Eric Kennedy nor right fielder Dylan Campbell saw the ball off the bat, could locate the ball in the twilight, and it fell in for a walk-off winner. Stanford claims the 7-6 win, brings the Longhorns season to an end for an obviously disappointed head coach David Pierce.
Kids just battled their tails off all year, and you told me March 15th that we would have opportunity to go to Omaha in a one-game winner-take-all. I'd take it any day, but at the same time, I hate the way we lost the game. Just losing the ball in the lights and right in the center of twilight just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Absolutely. We'll have more from David Pierce coming up in our Coach's Corner. NBA, after 56 years as a franchise, including the last 47 as a member of the NBA, the Denver Nuggets are finally champions. Nuggets battled through a sluggish first 3 quarters and held off a furious Jimmy Butler-fueled comeback to hold on and close out the NBA Finals in 5 games. 94-89. Win caps a 16-4 march through the playoffs for the Nuggets. Impressive all the way through, led by their 28-year-old Serbian superstar Nikola Jokic. And the two-time league MVP now adds NBA Finals MVP to his sterling resume. He takes the Bill Russell Trophy there. The Young Nuggets have already opened as the odds favorite to win next year's title as well. Next up for the NBA on the calendar, it's the draft a week from Thursday. Spurs are on the clock, followed by free agency in July. Major League Baseball last night, first place Rangers returned home for some home cooking and then ran into Shohei Ohtani and the LA Angels. Ohtani homered twice and led the Halos to a 14-inning comeback 9-6 victory. Ohtani now leads the American League with 20 home runs. And surprising from the world of college softball, just days after leading Oklahoma to a third straight national title, ace pitcher Jordy Ball announced she is transferring back to her home state. She's going to play at Nebraska next season.
And that's interesting. She'd go back after winning a national championship. 2 of them, yeah.
Well, she
wants to go home. NIL deal must be nice back at the house.
Well, she said she was homesick.
Ah.
Mrs. Nebraska.
I mean, away for that many years, and then all of a sudden now you're homesick. Huh?
Well, you did go from Nebraska to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I've been to Norman.
Scenic.
So, well, you said it at NIL, though. She's a,
I've been to Lincoln, too. I mean, you're not.
Well, she's obviously a hometown hero, and that can be lucrative.
Yeah, it is.
It can be. For sure.
Absolutely.
She's, everybody in that town knows her. I mean, it's like, that's.
You're absolutely right.
And if you're an Oklahoma fan, if you're a Longhorn fan, you're like, okay, we don't have to face her anymore at Oklahoma, but now she'll be Nebraska.
That's right, because they are a softball school.
Without a doubt.
Go get another girl.
Without
there's somebody.
a doubt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Next up, yeah. But yes, and she helped them win a couple national titles, so bid her farewell, and thanks a lot for the performance. And yeah, Longhorn performance, just as I said off the top of the show, just frustrating because it felt like in my mind, and y'all can disagree, I just felt like the momentum was in the Longhorn dugout at the time. It felt like it was in Stanford's dugout for most of the night. 7 innings in, it's 6-3 to game, and you're thinking, okay, Longhorns are running out of outs here, and this is not looking good. But as they've done all year, Texas was gritty and rallied and found a way. Longhorns went. Jared Thomas left the bases loaded in the 5th inning.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big miss, and then they had another opportunity in the 6th. But come the 8th, they rallied and got to that Stanford bullpen, which was kind of the mission going in. And between that and Dylan Campbell throwing out the runner at third base with the beautiful, just what an unbelievable arm that young guy's got.
That was number 1 on SportsCenter Top 10 this
morning. Had to be. That's like Dave Parker kind of stuff. That's the Cobra from right field, deep right field. Falling away and throw a strike like that that wasn't a slow runner, by the way. That was a pretty speedy runner that he gunned down. That was awesome. So the momentum was there, and obviously the momentum would have even grown if Dylan Campbell would have squeezed that ball in right field because the Longhorns avoided the walk-off home run scenario that it looked like it was about to be when Rios hit the liner that off the bat everybody thought was a home run to walk it off. Instead, it hits the bottom of the wall. It's a double. And you pitched out of that jam, and you lived to play another inning. The Longhorns would have run to the dugout, and I just feel like the momentum was there. There's no guarantee of what would have happened from there, but you had to feel pretty good about the situation if you were the Longhorns. And in the end, we saw what happened. The ball fell, and what can you do? Sometimes you lose the ball in the twilights, and that's tough. That's
I was kind of panicky right off the ball off the bat. I'm like, okay. Somebody's they're looking at each other, and nobody's really actually, where is the ball landing here, guys?
It was closer to Dylan Campbell, but.
Oh, yeah, it was 15 feet from him.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw someone text in that they have some kind of like environmentally friendly lights there.
LED lighting, yes. Softer lighting in California. Well, look, that's home field advantage. I mean, that's just, they play in that, you don't. That's what you want. It's why you want to host a regional, and certainly you can talk about, it's just.
That's why you needed to beat A&M.
Yeah. You needed A&M to beat them.
Or A&M to beat them,
so
you're right.
Either here or maybe down in College Station.
Hey, at least Texas made it farther than the Aggies. Still got that this year.
That didn't count for anything.
That counts for a little bragging rights.
I guess.
Something like that. But, well, I mean, when the ball went off the bat, I said, that's the inning. Because Lucas Gordon pointed to the air. Pop up.
I was thinking, you think that was part of the issue? Because he he kind of pointed and
No, they
started
just
walking
never even
off.
saw
No,
it.
they never saw it off the
They
bat.
never saw the ball.
And that's less than the twilight. That's the LED lights where they just didn't see it.
Do the outfielders use the pitcher when they do point up like that ever,
Not
or is that just
usually.
kind of a celebration?
The pitchers, kind of just pop up. All right, getting out of this frame, and but it was Mitchell Daly, the shortstop, who saw it, and he was running out into the outfield, and he could see that
they didn't see it.
That either EK or Dylan Campbell, and that's so many levels of unfortunate for Texas. But those are two of the best defensive outfielders in college baseball. These are really, really good players, and if they give out Gold Gloves in that level, then those guys would be up for it at center field. And sixth-year outfielder Eric Kennedy and junior stud in right field. I mean, Dylan Campbell might be the best corner outfielder in all of college baseball. I've heard Keith Moreland was a pretty good player himself make that claim that he's the best college outfielder he's seen at the corners this year.
Hey, if anything's going to make you want to come back to school next year and play again, that's a loss like that will, I don't know, get you motivated.
Anything to make you want to go to the Major League Baseball is that money because of the great year that he's had.
That's true.
Yeah, the only thing that'll make you go is cash money. That young guy, we got to root for the Longhorn roster of last year with Ivan Melendez and Murph Staley and so many guys that you just wanted to root for. This year's team maybe took a little longer, but boy, you kind of fell in love with those guys. And Dylan Campbell was at the top of that list for his, the hitting streak, which is now in the record books.
I think they're
Texas.
Overachievers this year.
For sure. I think they were playing with house money even into last night, but that's why, man, they're going to win this thing. They're going to get back to Omaha. They're going to find a way with the team that's probably greater than the sum of its parts.
An awful lot about a team that just keeps overcoming things.
Well, that speaks to leadership and speaks to the roster that was built. And
the communications. Remember in the communications they had in the beginning of the season, Gaz, when Coach would come on and say, we got our signals, we're not we got the things on our arms. Just the simple things that ended up being important.
Came a long way.
Yeah, they have. They really did.
There's no question. And, that comes with 20 new players and two new assistants and moving guys around. And everyone's learning one another. Not just the players, but the coaches are learning. David Pierce is learning to deal with Woody Williams in real time, and Steve Rodriguez, his new bench coach, in real time. That all takes a little bit of time, and that's where you heard David Pierce say in the headlines. If you told me back March 15th, we'd be here with one win away from Omaha. I'll take that in a second. They accomplished a lot this year, but then when it ends like that, it's just really disappointing. With that in mind, let's dive into our Coach's Corner. It's brought to you by Audio-Visual Consultations. All right, so that's how it ends. Let's hear from David Pierce. Roger Wallace. Buck, we told you about John Sterling, your Yankees play-by-play guy, getting hit in the head. And you were mad at the lady for leaving him there.
Why she leave him?
Well, just like Roger Wallace does. Roger leaves Craig up in the booth, and he goes down to interview.
Craig can fend for himself.
Donald Sterling's 84 years old.
Yeah, come on. That guy can't fend for himself there.
Ow,
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 ow.
Ow, that hurt.
Hell yeah, that hurt.
She left me. No, go down to do interviews. And the interview you'll hear is Roger Wallace, who caught up with head coach David Pierce. You heard a little bit of it in the headlines, but let's hear the full conversation with Roger and the coach.
David, this is as unusual and heartbreaking the way your guys battled to see it end like this.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. The kids just battled their tails off all year, and you told me March 15th that we would have opportunity to go to Omaha in a one-game winner-take-all. I'd take it any day, but at the same time, I hate the way we lost the game. Just losing the ball in the lights and right in the center of twilight just wasn't meant to be, I guess. But I couldn't be more proud of the team. From where we started to where we finished and how we grew in our development and our trust in each other. Now they just became such a great team and a unit and became really one beating heart. And I don't know what else to say other than, you don't always win, but I know this. When you get to the postseason, either you win the national championship or you end on a loss. And unfortunately, we ended on a loss in a very unforgiving way.
The way you guys battled all night long, this kind of was your season in a 9-inning game, the way you guys just kept fighting. And then in the 8th inning, you got Lucas scored and giving his all. Zane came in, gave his all. Dylan Campbell's playing right field, just go up and down the ball game, and then to end like that. I mean, I know it's an unfair game sometimes, but to watch your guys hug out there must be a tough sight, knowing that for this team, this is it.
Yeah, it is. It's always that. I mean, I'm missing the eyes right now. I'm sorry, but you always have a heartbreak if you don't win it. And this team is special. I mean, they exceeded any expectations, and that's unusual to say when you're at the University of Texas. But that was a heartbreaker, and I just feel for our guys right now.
David, appreciate it. Speaking for.
All right, there it is, and you had to run over and sing the Eyes of Texas there. But, yeah, I think that's well said. I mean, if you don't win the national championship, the season's going to end in a disappointing fashion. And, last year the season ended with the loss to A&M in Omaha. 0-2 performance there, lost to Notre Dame and A&M, and the season was a disappointment. You got there, but when you didn't finish it like you wanted to. And I give David Pierce a lot of credit in our coach's corner for making the changes that he felt were necessary. And he's 7 years in now, but maybe change some things up to put it on a course to, because if you can build on this, and as he said, this one heartbeat of a team, yes, the roster will look different again next year.
Sure will, yep.
But can you build around the Jared Thomases and the Jalen Floreses and these young guys?
Well, they'll know how to come through some tough times when things aren't going their way, how to battle back.
Not give in. And, you say the same for Stanford. Stanford played 4 elimination games, but that's a more veteran team, right?
That was a great baseball team.
That was a really good team. I mean, they got, and their 4th-year senior who could have gone to the draft last year delivered the performance of the regional, right? The 156-pitch complete game. I mean, that was really the pivot of the series. And but so, yeah, I mean, Longhorns have work to do, but you have young pieces to build around. I'll say this for Texas. One of the heroes last night had the Longhorns found a way to win. It was Zane Morehouse. And that is a guy that you have to be proud of because he has been up and down this year. He's battled. He was a starter at the beginning of the year, and then he got moved into the bullpen, struggled, with consistency at both. I know he gave up 3 runs in that 4th inning, but, man, in that spot when you weren't sure who was going to be able to get you outs in this spot beyond Tanner Witt, for that guy to go out there and throw 6 innings and keep you in the ball game and deliver like he did, I thought he was outstanding last night. And then that got it to Lucas Gordon, and that's why I say disappointing so many levels that if you could get the lead, you felt like you had Charlie Hurley and Ace Whitehead, the Bulldog, out of the bullpen who could help you close this thing. And you're pitching. Think about this, how Texas battled at the plate. You realize Texas's batters saw 61 more pitches last night than Stanford did. Texas pitchers attacked the zone, had only 134 pitches thrown. Stanford threw almost 200 pitches last night because the Longhorns were battling and fighting them.
A lot of 2-out production.
Yeah, the 2-out rallies.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, with the one point, and it was our friend Ty Harrington texted me when Ryan Bruno came in and threw the 4-pitch walk. And Bruno, they were hoping to get some outs out of him. He was the guy that struggled in the Game 1 loss that led to the Texas comeback. He came in and gave you 4 pitches, no outs, which really flipped it. They had to go to Drew Dowd a lot earlier, which kind of upset probably their plan and their bullpen, and that's when the Longhorns had to gain a little bit of confidence. Meanwhile, Morehouse is over there mowing people down because after that 4-run 4th inning he allowed, he didn't allow any more runs. He was just really good for 80 pitches and 6 innings. That's 18 outs that you needed, and Morehouse gave those to you. So really impressive for him. But, now you sit back and you see how the roster changes and who goes where. And, Porter Brown and Eric Kennedy are done. Those guys are,
yep.
Porter was a 1-year graduate transfer from TCU, and Eric, a 6-year player. There'll be guys moving on, but there will be a foundation that hopefully carries this grit and this one heartbeat mindset that Coach is talking about right there. And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to hit the portal and find some more pitching.
For sure.
But I think year 1 is a big thumbs up for Woody Williams as your pitching coach and developer of pitching. Remember last year when Texas made the changes, the name everybody wanted was Tennessee's pitching coach, Frank Anderson, Augie Garrido's former pitching coach. He's still coaching at Tennessee. He decided to stay in Nashville, stay in Knoxville and then keep working with Tennessee. And they're going back to the College World Series. Threw a shutout last night, by the way. And Texas goes with Woody Williams. I think year 1,
he understands what he's looking like for this program, too, what he's looking for.
Well, and now, because that, quite honestly, part of the reason for the change Coach Pierce made was there was a bad reputation growing around that, Texas doesn't develop pitchers. The pitching development is not as good as it needs to be, and he wanted to change that. So Frank Anderson was a name, and then Woody Williams, a 15, 16-year major leaguer coming in who loves to build relationships with these young guys. And his work with LeBaron Johnson Jr. this year was outstanding. Lucas Gordon, Zane Morehouse, who I just mentioned. So now I think you can hit the recruiting trail and build on that and say we're going to develop your pitching and you go to the University of Texas, have a chance to go to Omaha, those kind of things. So a lot to look forward to, but unfortunate that it had to end because a trip to Omaha would have been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But Stanford earned it. And their lights, everybody will always cuss the lights at the softer LED lights of the West Coast.
I'll remember that game for the rest of my life. Never seen anything like it.
Well, I think that's kind of like when it ends like that, yeah. It'll let you be just like, man, I've never seen that before. That was unfortunate. But that's how it ended for the Longhorns. It also ended for the Miami Heat last night in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets are the NBA's champions. They finish it in 5 games. We'll pick that up on the other side. Also, as we mentioned, the NFL is trying to educate its players on their gambling rules so they can avoid suspensions. We'll get you the latest there. And DeAndre Hopkins, he had a visit yesterday. Where's he going to head? We'll get at that. You got Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Hopkins, some big names on the free agent market right now in the National Football League here in mid-June. Plus, hot or not for the end of the hour. It's a busy Tuesday here on the Show of the People. QC Kinetics, folks, a location in Austin and in Round Rock, providing relief to Central Texans who are dealing with chronic pain. And that's what they've been. If you do deal with that chronic pain, it's in a joint, right? It's in your knee. Maybe it's your hip. Maybe it's both knees. Maybe it's your shoulder, wherever that might be, lower back with a sciatic nerve. And it's chronic. So it's not anything that, your options are pain pills to dull the pain a little bit, some like steroid injections, and then, maybe thinking about the long-term surgeries, which, there's all the rehab that comes with that. There's no guarantees. Well, go see our friends at QC Kinetics. At least take the first step. I mean, you could be on your way to a pain-free step if you get in there and learn about their regenerative medicine, the treatments that are helping everyone. They're helping so many folks get back to being an active person, doing the things they want to do without the pain, because regenerative medicine, using blood cells from your own body, highly concentrated, injected into that affected area to promote the relief that you're seeking. To rebuild that tissue there, the regenerative medicine to get you through it for arthritis or old sports injuries or whatever it might be. Don't let the current normal be just your new normal that you grin and bear it. Make QC Kinetics an option for you for the real new normal that you want to have. 593-4303 is the phone number. That's 512-593-4303. They'll get you in for an appointment this week if you give them a phone call and get in and learn more to be educated on the process and how it all works at QC Kinetics, 512-593-4303. The Denver Nuggets are the 2023 NBA champions. NBA season in the books. Also, Longhorn baseball season in the books as well, unfortunately. And saying bon voyage, goodbye to Pat Sajak, Buck. Pat Sajak announcing via Twitter and social media yesterday, after 41 seasons, he is moving on. We'll have to play our mythological hero Achilles cut and all our favorite Wheel of Fortune highlights and lowlights from the past coming up. But quite a ball game for the Longhorns last night. I think the common thought is, man, hate to see a game like that end like that. That was just wah-wah. Just unfortunate, bad luck, bad timing, lighting, whatever. Just can't, there's no blame to go around. Just couldn't see the ball. And, first thing you got to be able to do to catch the ball is see the ball. If you never see
ball,
it.
catch ball.
Yeah. And it's just a tough way to go. But tough team. Coach Pierce talked about one heartbeat. Here's a nice text that says, hated the way it ended, but was much better season than I expected. Hope the draft doesn't hit us too hard. Well, that's the next phase. And you can expect LeBaron Johnson Jr. to be drafted. Likely Lucas Gordon, but, he doesn't have that elite stuff that major leaguers look for, but he can get people out. So he's now draft eligible too. And Dylan Campbell is a junior, draft eligible. So, we'll follow that as it goes for the Longhorns. Also, Buck, we'll have some fun coming up with some other top stories or stories we've missed halfway through this show because it'll be hot or not. But I mentioned the NFL. The Houston Texans, by the way, Buck, announced that they're going to induct J.J. Watt into their Ring of Honor for that organization.
In October, huh?
21 years. October 1st when they play Pittsburgh, which will be kind of cool. That means his brother will be there.
Yep.
Which is smart. Of course, 114.5 career sacks in 12 seasons. Texans' most decorated player in their franchise's 21-year history. 11th overall pick out of Wisconsin. And, he's one of the most beloved Houston athletes of all time. I mean, he never won a championship, but that wasn't his fault. He did everything he could do to try to win one. They just never had a quarterback or a coach.
Pro Bowls, 10 years, right?
Oh, he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. 3 times a defensive player of the year. At his prime was his unblockable players we've seen. And the disruptive a force on the defensive side. And then the Reggie White, Aaron Donald, mold of players that just Bruce Smith just wrecked games, and he did it over and over for Houston. And what he did with the hurricane relief and Katrina and the things that he helped with that community. He is an absolute beloved figure. So that'll be a cool scene down in Houston. Another former Texan is DeAndre Hopkins. He used to be in Houston before he was in Arizona, and they traded him in that ridiculous situation. But DeAndre is now a free agent, and where do you think he's going to land? He visited the Tennessee Titans. Would you want to catch balls from whoever the quarterback is of the Tennessee Titans?
I'll pass on that.
I'll pass on that. I think if you're DeAndre Hopkins, yes, you want the most money, but you also want to play for a quarterback that can throw the ball to you. I guess Ryan Tannehill's still there. That's what they're arguing in Tennessee is, we still have Ryan Tannehill. But he's also going to visit the New England Patriots, and Bill Belichick has admitted that they have interest. There is interest from New England as they're trying to give young Mac Jones and Bill O'Brien calling the plays, maybe some go-to veteran receiver. And
that one kind of makes sense.
Or it was Bill Belichick who shrewdly acquired Randy Moss back in the day when he was still had a lot of gas in his tank and helped Tom Brady. With the greatest offensive season he's probably ever had. But I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins is Randy Moss, but he can help a quarterback make contested catches and be a red zone threat and be a productive football player. Because the one thing you know about DeAndre Hopkins, Buck, he'll make plays, convert first down, score touchdowns, even when he's covered. The quarterback can trust him to make those incredible catches and deliver. That's what a young quarterback needs, I would believe. And Bill O'Brien trying to rev up that offense in that very difficult division that the New England Patriots play in. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that would help them a lot. That would help their young quarterback a lot, I believe.
Well, you got to have it. He helped a lot of Houston quarterbacks that weren't, Deshaun Watson specifically, but he's a heck of a player. But now he's a free agent, so we'll see where that goes. Also, we're waiting on the Dalvin Cook news in the NFL. What's he going to do? He's going to play the field a little bit here, but most people think he's going to land back in his hometown of Miami with the Dolphins. But there are other suitors. And it doesn't appear to be the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys already have a lot of money invested in their running back position, don't they? Tony Pollard's their franchise player. Zeke Elliott was released, but he's still costing you some money on your salary cap. I think the Cowboys need to.
He's still coming back, Ty? Coach Zeke?
I think so.
Okay.
Nobody's going to pay Dalvin Cook, though. I promise you that. He's not getting more than $6 million.
Yeah, that's the market right now. Josh Jacobs of the Raiders is kind of in the same thing. Another name to watch. This is interesting. This isn't there to percolate here into June. The name Chase Young. Remember him? Pass rusher, Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Second pick of the draft by the Washington Commanders.
Had a great rookie year.
Rookie year, but then injuries. They have declined to pick up his fifth-year option, and there's talk that they may trade him. And the team that apparently is the most interested, I think most teams would be interested in a young pass rusher like that, but apparently they've had some conversations with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that knee didn't come along quicker than they were expecting in Washington. That they were expecting him to play a little bit more last year, coming off that knee, and he really didn't last year.
I think he played like one game.
Yeah. And they still had a good defense in Washington. But if you're a Cowboys fan, you'd love to see them trade him out of the division.
Bye.
You don't have to deal with him moving forward. But man, if you're Detroit, remember Detroit got criticized for their draft picks because they were trying to draft guys that could help immediately, like win now. We're ready to go. Our division no longer includes Aaron Rodgers. The Vikings are weak on defense. We can move to the top of this division with Jared Goff at quarterback and this high-powered offense if we improve our defense. Well, you acquire Chase. Remember they took they had 2 first-round picks and they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama, to come in and replace DeAndre Swift, who they traded to Philadelphia, and then they drafted the Iowa linebacker. What's his name? Jack. Just the tackling machine that
they could have gotten in the second round.
Yeah, but they felt like we need this guy we needed some tackling machines on our defense that can come in and make plays. And if you could make a deal and swing a deal for Chase Young to put opposite Aiden Hutchinson, who was your top pick the previous year, man.
And they already rebuilt the secondary through free agency as well.
That's right.
They did.
That defense should be improved.
And whatever they thought you think of drafting a middle linebacker at the 18th pick, that's criticizable. But they think he's a walk-in starter. They think he walks in and mans the middle for them. All of a sudden, if that defense is improved for Aaron Glenn calling the plays and Dan Campbell, well, that offense is going to score plenty of points. That offense is going to put up numbers last year. I mean, they were one of the best and most efficient offenses in pro football last year. So keep an eye on those conversations. Dalvin Cook, maybe to Miami, could be a game-changing move for them. The Patriots are trying to, in their own division, maybe we're trying to respond with DeAndre Hopkins. And then Chase Young could be available. So we'll see where that goes in the National Football League. I also mentioned the big story in the offseason, Buck, has been the gambling suspensions, right? And the league struggling with guys that maybe don't know the rules. Well, so yesterday, the NFL, in an effort to educate players.
Can one of the rules be no gambling on football, on your sport?
Well, yeah, they sent
is that one of the top rules?
Well, they sent a reminder to all teams and to players of, okay, here are the rules, and compliance is, you don't comply, you're going to be suspended, as we've already done.
There's the 6 main ones. I like that.
Yeah, the 6 main rules for players to know, according to this NFL document.
I like number 1 for sure.
Don't bet on the NFL.
Period.
Period.
Period. Don't do that.
Don't have someone place a bet for you. Period.
On NFL games, period.
Don't gamble at your team's facility, stadium, while traveling for a road game or staying in a team hotel. If the team is footing the bill, don't do it.
What if you're in Vegas?
Nope. Well, when you go to the casino, you can. But when you're in the hotel, on the plane,
in the parking lot,
don't do it. Certainly in the facility, and that would include like online blackjack or any type of gambling.
Number 4 is a big deal. That comes as a big deal, period, right there too.
Yeah, don't share inside information from your team.
Yeah, who's hurt, if a guy's really hurt or not, telling your buddies.
I mean, that's a high one. I mean,
that
that's
is a
one
high
where that's what gamblers are looking for. That's
absolutely.
Hey, so-and-so's hurt and not going to play this week. I mean, that goes to that Alabama baseball coach in college who maybe tipped off a buddy, and their starting Friday night pitcher wasn't going to pitch, and they're playing LSU and Paul Skeens. Let's make a big bet, and that got the coach fired. Number 5, don't enter a sports book during the NFL playing season.
Period.
Okay? Period. Don't go to a sports book during the year. You can go in the off season in your own time. There are no NFL games going on. Because look, if you're not, they can bet on basketball games if they wanted to. They can lay a wager on those kind of things. That's legal.
Does the horse track count?
Sure. Yeah. Just don't do it during the season. And what they say, the 6 main points, don't do it during the NFL playing season.
Right.
And number 6 and final, don't play daily fantasy football. which means don't listen to the Wagner Wire on Sunday mornings. Don't listen to Ty.
Don't listen to those
football.
guys. Don't play fantasy football.
Yeah, I mean,
or don't bet on playing. I guess you can play it, can't you? I mean, you just can't bet on it.
Why would you want to do that if you were in the NFL? You're living the fantasy. I don't think you need to be playing fantasy football.
Those dudes are interested in that stuff, man.
Because for a lot of those guys, they grew up probably doing it, right? They're of
the
age.
You're right. You're right.
Just wait till you retire.
I know. Well, that's why they're telling them, look, you may have grown up in high school playing fantasy football and loving football, but once you make the NFL, which is living the dream to Ty's point, you can't do it. You can play fantasy football when your career's over. Go back to it.
And you can gamble in the off season.
Yes. And the money you're making, I mean, how many bets does it take to, especially for the really good players, we're paying you well enough to where you probably don't need to gamble.
It's fun. It's not about the money.
It's fun. Well, there's no rule here of the 6 main rules that says don't gamble.
Yeah, golf is fun.
You can bet on other things. You can bet in your own time, but you cannot bet on the NFL.
Against the course.
You cannot have someone place an NFL bet for you. Don't gamble at the facility or in any team area.
Don't give out information.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's one of the top ones. Is don't give out information on your team about who's hurt and who's not hurt.
Because people are seeking that information.
Oh, that's exactly what they want.
Well, that goes to something you've known a long time. What happens in our locker room stays in our locker room.
Absolutely.
Don't take it home.
Mm-mm.
Don't share that information. That is ironclad. Remember when Antonio?
You don't go home telling everybody who got hurt at practice today.
Right. Remember when Antonio Brown was on Instagram Live in the Pittsburgh locker room? That went over well with Mike Tomlin.
I don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me. That seems like one of the better things he did in his career.
Oh, that was the beginning of the end in Pittsburgh.
When Montez Burfict got him.
All that stuff about injuries, that's what ended open practices for people to come watch football.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Little cell phone. Oh, that guy got injured. Check him out. He's limping around.
Cell phone information immediately going out. No more open practice. Look who limped off the field. Oh, man. What happened to him? Oh, we got that on video. All right. Okay, so we'll come back. When we do, it's the hot or not topics. That would be things we've missed halfway through this program. Ty will walk us through that. We'll also continue to reset the extremely disappointing end of the Longhorn baseball season last night. Felt like momentum was in the burnt orange dugout, and the game ended in the most unfathomable way. Also, the NBA Finals are in the books. The Denver Nuggets are your champs, but we'll get some hot or not coming next. Bud Light, folks, the world's favorite light beer for 4 decades and brewed right here in the great state. Brewed for Texans by Texans right here for you since 1982. The world's favorite light beer is great for any occasion. Good times in Austin, Texas, and there are plenty of them this time of year. You've got live music. You've got big events coming. Games at the Dell Diamond Express opening up a 12-game homestand tonight, which means you've got 12 nights right through Father's Day this weekend to enjoy your icy cold Bud Lights and catch a ball game, have a hot dog. And Bud Light, of course, always available to you right there. Also, remember in August, it's Coke Fest. KOKE Fest is coming again. Another big year. Whiskey Myers, John Party, so many great. William Clark Green, our good buddy. He'll be out there at Coke Fest. Get those tickets at KOKEFest.com. Great Bud Light opportunities. All the live music through the week and through the summertime. And, of course, your vacations and enjoying yourself at the coast or the river or the lake. Enjoy that with the ice-cold Bud Lights as well. Do it safely, though. Always have a great plan. Our friends at Brown Distributing always remind you to make a plan. You can't drive home drunk if you didn't drive there. Have a designated driver. Take the ride service. Take the cabs. But whatever you do, enjoy your summer. And count down the days to football season with the ice-cold Bud Lights. And our friends at Brown Distributing reminding you that. And the number one selling light beer in the world, the official domestic beer partner of your Texas Longhorns, the Texas Exes, and the Texas OU game. Hot and not on a what's going to be a blazing hot Tuesday. We know that. And getting hotter into the weekend. Father's Day weekend should be really hot. Triple digits starting Thursday.
Thursday, I believe, yes.
Friday, 104.
Oh.
Yeah. Father's Day Sunday, 102. Get ready for that. Also hot, Stan Kroenke. What's Stan Kroenke? He's the rich guy that owns the Denver Nuggets, who just won the NBA championship. He also owns the LA Rams, who just won a Super Bowl not long ago. Owns the Colorado Avalanche, who won the Stanley Cup, the current reigning champions. And he also owns the Colorado Mammoth of the NLL. I don't know what that is. They are the champions, too. Also owns SoFi Stadium.
Lacrosse.
Yes.
Lacrosse. Okay, lacrosse. Thank you, Ty.
Woolly Mammoth.
He also owns SoFi Stadium, which is the host of Super Bowl, the most recent Super Bowl, and the College Football National Championship, where TCU got smoked by Georgia pretty good. But, yeah, Stan doing well. He's also got a pretty darn good player in Nikola Jokic, who at 28 years old just did something no player's ever done, lead all players in the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. Never been done before. That's pretty awesome. What a player and a rare talent who's, as we said earlier, was bummed because he found out that the parade in Denver to celebrate the championship is not planned till Thursday.
Yeah, they need to have that on Wednesday so he could get home.
Yeah, he wants to go home to Serbia to his horses. And, really? He's like, Thursday?
Big horse racing guy.
He just loves the farm and racing and his hot tub and his kids and his family. That's all he
wants.
There
you
go.
go.
He's not interested in
Gotta love that, though.
the sun. Well, I mean, that's what you say there. I just keep throwing the parallels to the Spurs because he reminds me of Tim Duncan at a lot of levels. I mean, Tim was a quiet guy.
Once he played Dragons and Dungeons, or Dungeons and Dragons, whatever the hell that is.
It's refreshing when we've been dealing with LeBron James and all his antics for the past 20 years.
Yeah, single him out. And Steph Curry was a humble superstar, too, which was fun with the Golden
There
State
have been other
team.
people that have not done anything but just actually played the game of basketball.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi is
No.
Operation Shutdown.
Shut down. Load management.
Operation Shutdown. I mean, the Spurs, Rockets, Dirk Nowitzki was a humble superstar who didn't crave the limelight. Hakeem Olajuwon was a humble superstar who didn't crave the limelight.
There have been those.
There have been those. But this might be the humblest and the most quiet of all of them, and he is certainly a superstar, and his team is already favored to win the championship next year because they're young and really, really good. And went 16-4 on their run to the championship. Pretty impressive. Never faced an elimination game on their way through it. Also, sad news, Buck. In addition to Pat Sajak retiring, actor Treat Williams was killed in a motorcycle accident in Vermont. You know Treat Williams? You've probably seen him on all your Hallmark movies. He's been on a bunch of those. But he's a longtime actor. You've seen the movie Everwood, Hair. He's 71 years old. He says his rep says a car cut him off while he was making a turn riding his motorcycle in Vermont. Sad piece of news there. It says here he also appeared in several Hallmark movies and the Netflix musical Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square.
There you go.
Don't ride motorcycles.
He's one of those guys that you see him, you're like, oh, yeah, he's been in everything. Treat Williams. That's sad. Hated to hear that yesterday. That's not good.
You couldn't pay me to ride a motorcycle to work every day.
I see people on the freeway. I think all of us do. You see people on the freeway, and it's just they're buzzing through traffic, and it's like, man, I don't want to see this guy get clipped. Someone cut in front of him.
I've always had the intrusive thought of just opening up my door.
No, come on, man.
Now. They're breaking the law. Why do you think you're better than us? Just because you have a little two-wheeled vehicle, you can weave through all the traffic and create danger for everyone else.
Well,
for me, I've just been one of those people in my life that they make me nervous. I don't like the sound. I don't like all the sound.
What about when you're on like I-35 driving back from Dallas?
I don't even think about that.
There's like 10 of them surrounding you.
Yeah.
I know people enjoy it. I'm glad they enjoy the freedom, But I'm very nervous about them. That's
Never
all.
wanted to have your lady on the back, holding on, hair flowing in the wind.
No thanks. No.
Can I just mention?
I'll put her in my side saddle of my car in the passenger seat. Where I'm enclosed.
That's one thing I would not do is get in somebody's sidecar. I would drive a motorcycle. I would just be very careful. I wouldn't be the guy weaving in and out and the crotch rocket being a fool.
I do have a bad experience growing. When I was like 12 years old, I ran a mini motorcycle straight into a concrete wall and gave myself double black.
That's what happened?
Jesus.
Yeah, I just let go of the clutch and there we go, right into the concrete wall. Never got back on after that.
Hey, can I mention this too?
I'm Mr. Moped guy.
I had 2 mopeds when I was a kid. I did the paper route. I told you that I made enough money to buy mopeds so I could do a bigger paper route. But how about this? A 16-year-old kid has broken the record as the world's fastest typer. Yeah, typer. He can type 300 words per minute. They call him Mythical Rocket. He's a gamer. So he's so fast on his keyboard, 300 words per minute. He's 16.
Make a hell of a secretary.
Can't write a letter.
It says here the average secretary can type 70 words per minute. This dude does 300. Ty, what do you have for us, my friend?
We're speaking about Pat Sajak's retirement. Well, another retirement in he's on the sports world, but Amanda Nunes, who me and Bucky were talking about during the break.
Yeah.
She retained her title spot or whatever they call it in the UFC, but Juliana Pena, who she had 2 previous fights with, reacted to it by calling her a coward.
Ooh.
For retiring before they got the chance to have their third fight, the rubber match.
Sorry, you don't get it. I retire later.
Until that cash comes.
This fighting, I hear posturing. She'll come back again.
That's what they always do, right?
That's right.
I mean, she's
Marketing,
35, 36 years old, probably the best women's fighter.
This is probably pre-planned. The lady's going to call her out now, and then she's going to respond.
Keep calling her out until she comes back till the money gets right.
Come on. Oh, yeah. We know how this works.
When will we see Conor McGregor come back to the UFC?
Dude, I'm still
amazed. Will that ever happen?
Still can't believe he knocked out that Heat mascot. That's
part
so
of
ridiculous.
part of it.
Calm down, dude.
And
he has anger problems.
Need to get some of that spray he was using, though. Got a bad back.
It didn't
like
help.
Bucky these days.
It didn't help that dude he knocked out.
By the way, somebody said it's completely legal to weave in and out of traffic on a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. No. There's no way.
I'm thinking no.
Does that person own a motorcycle?
Or you can.
No, they just do it.
I think he's saying it's legal to cut through the lane, like get in between the cars. That is legal. But,
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what he said. I'll look it up. You could look it up. We'll look it up. Also, still scratching our head on that game last night, the way it ended in Palo Alto. Callahan's General Store, folks, since 1978, and still taking care of folks of Central Texas, right there between downtown and the airport. Great location, especially with all the construction being done there. The 183 toll, you just zip over there. Really, really great people and product. That's what it's about, right? They source so much stuff from all their departments, from local folks, and that garden section, the grass and yard section we've been telling you about, helping you get that yard ready for this time of year. We just mentioned all the triple-digit temps that are coming here in the middle of June now. That hopefully you've gotten your stuff ready, but get over to Callahan's. They'll make sure you have the right things applied and ready to go to deal with the severe weather that's coming as far as the heat, making sure your yard is heat tolerant and you're doing the right things watering wise and keeping it strong through the summer months here in Central Texas. They've got everything you need, all the organic and conventional fertilizers and weed and feeds and things you're going to need, but they also have the people and the expertise to help you get the right stuff and use the right things for your projects and your gardens and your trees for long-term maintenance of those as well. Callahan's has everything you need and the people to select the right products and use them properly. It's Callahan's General Store. They also have the Western wear section, hardwares, housewares, everything you need. Just great people. We're locally owned and family operated since 1978. Go in and see them. Always a good day to get over there. Follow them online and learn about all their departments and everything that they have at CallahansGeneralStore.com. And then, hey, it's always a good day to make it a Callahan's Day. All right, several people saying that as we're talking about motorcycles on freeways cutting through traffic, where apparently it's called lane splitting. Splitting, legal in California, not legal in Texas. But this guy says it is completely legal in Texas. But if you have a motorcycle, you should know that. Lane splitting. Somebody said that it's because of the heat, and they can't just sit there in traffic on their motorbike. They got to be able to cut through it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seems like an excuse.
That's why you buy a motorcycle, to be able to not sit in traffic.
Or take that damn thing out in the country then, where you can just free it.
No, that's what you look. If you're going to be in traffic and you feel comfortable with that, that would be your advantage, to be able to slice through and not sit when everybody else is, because you have a vehicle. I don't like being on 35 in my car a lot of times.
Put your air conditioner on.
With my AC, I'm surrounded by metal. Got the little white knuckles going sometimes when there's semis, and especially where I'm at in Onion Creek, and you're trying to you have all that construction going on. The lanes get real narrow. You're like between semis and the wall. You're like, oh, geez. But yes, no, thank you on a motorbike. But or as this guy calls motorcyclists who do that, organ donors. See, that's not rooting for that. Should be interesting today, Bucky.
Organ donors.
Organ donors.
Wow.
But yes, today is press conference day at the United States Open out in Los Angeles, which a lot of folks eagerly anticipating the thoughts of Colin Morikawa, John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, and Scotty Scheffler all scheduled to do their press conference today. We will not hear press conferences apparently from Rory McIlroy, Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, and Bryson DeChambeau for whatever reason. But those other players I just mentioned will be speaking, and obviously they'll be asked about the events of last week. And should be an interesting week with all the best players in the world gathering to compete for the United States Open on a very tough golf course in L.A.
Should be. It's a major.
It is.
It's our major.
It's our major. And some would say the most open of the majors, right? You can qualify for this.
Right.
That's a true thing. You can, if you're good enough, you can cut through your sectional qualifying and you can qualify to play.
Where's Michael Block at?
Yeah.
Forgot about him.
I don't know if he's in this
Where's
one.
the crier?
No, he's not in this one. But remember, he qualified for the PGA Championship through the PGA qualifying. This is same kind of thing, but he's already a PGA pro. But even you, Ty, you could go out and qualify for the U.S. Open. Anybody can.
Might have to start.
It's
training.
open.
Start training for it? Why not?
That's why the movie Tin Cup was based on an accurate thing. You can actually qualify. And
I have a friend. He was actually Shea Holt on the Wagner Wire with us on Sunday. That is convinced that if you gave him 5 years, where all he had to do every day was play golf, he could be on the PGA Tour. I'm like, dude, I don't. Those people play their entire lives doing that.
He would still get in the money
but
game out at
is he saying that?
Gray Rock and get his ass whooped. That's what would happen.
Is he
5
saying that
years
having
from now.
never played golf? Or is he already a really good golfer?
No, he's maybe played one round of golf in his life.
No,
That's
he ain't tell him in 5 years. No,
I know. Trust me. I've told him how big of an idiot that sounds like when he says
that's not
that.
going to happen. I mean, you're going to be competing against guys
Every day
who
for
have
5 years.
been doing this their whole lives.
Oh, yeah.
With a golf club in their hand. Most of those guys when they're 5 years old, 4 years old, and yeah,
You'd be losing in the local skins game on
now look, if he
on
grew up on a golf
Tuesday.
course, grew up playing golf, and he just doesn't have he's got a real job. Now I could see that if you already have some general really great ability, and if all you had to do for 5 years is practice and focus, and I could see that. I mean, that is not impossible.
But what would he wouldn't be playing on the PGA Tour?
No. Well, he could. Like if you grew up and you were a junior golfer and played high school golf and were a really good player, if you devoted your life to it, that's not impossible. That's not an impossible dream to start from scratch at his age, and that I don't want to say impossible, but that is completely improbable. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. They're too good.
Nothing's impossible, I guess.
That's probably the one sport you can do it in.
Bowling.
Bowling, yeah, probably more feasible.
Bowling, very feasible.
He is a very good bowler.
Darts.
I will say that, this friend.
Darts. I'll give him that. Darts.
Billiards.
Tell him I'll give him 5 years, and yes, he can play in the darts
World
tour.
Championship.
Darts tour or something.
I've seen some pretty hype videos from those darts tournaments. They get some good crowds out in Europe.
Well, all those games / sports that you play when you're drinking pitchers of beer.
Mm-hmm.
And we found out recently that Ty owns not one, not two, but 3 bowling balls.
Goodness.
Yeah, and they're in my car. I know. Got all the accessories. I got everything.
When was the last time you bowled, though? I mean, what did they just hang out
like
in?
3 weeks ago.
Really?
I go up to Highland. I used to go to. I played in the summer league at Dart Bowl.
Now, do you ever go bowling
Last year.
just you? I mean, since it's you against the pins, I mean, do you just go?
I have.
Sure.
Yeah, I like to.
And
It's a
roll a couple strings.
I like to have business meetings at the bowling alley
Business
with
meetings.
my podcast guys. You know, like
Really?
we need to talk about something. We'll just go throw like 3 games and talk it out.
Slam down some jack.
I tell you what, they have the Lebowski Grill at the Highland Lanes that's still there.
Oh, dude, dart bowl used
That's
to
some
be.
good food.
They used to have some great food.
Oh yeah, the enchiladas at Dart Bowl were amazing.
I do fancy you, but it's kind of the dude.
Oh yeah, every year
Dude.
every year of college, I
Come
went as the
on,
dude
dude.
for Halloween. You know, just throw on the robe, shave a goatee, easy costume.
Nice.
What a great movie. As we get to the slower time of summer, which we're headed to, we're going to have to get some good big Lebowski cuts and have fun with that because that is good stuff. And yeah, in the heat of Texas, when it's going to be 100 degrees all week, bowling alley not a bad place. It is air conditioned, and you can have a good time. And
I know a couple guys I see on the golf course, and maybe should take that up.
including you,
Oh well.
when it's about to be triple digits.
Oh.
You would hate me on the golf course. How bad I am. I feel like if we played together, you would get very frustrated within about 20 minutes.
Yes. I don't think you would make it through the round with the
You'd
Texas
be telling me
cheaters.
to go home. Yeah.
No, I'd be all right.
Let's get to the headlines, including, I know we maybe don't want to hear it again, but the disappointing end of the Longhorn baseball season. Pretty tough last night. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news. Yeah, college baseball, pretty epic super regional final last night out in Palo Alto. And unfortunately for Texas, it ended on the agonizing side and with an inexplicable ending to the Longhorns game and season. It was Texas and Stanford. Winner advances to Omaha Game 3. And it went back and forth. Stanford jumped out early 3-0. Drew Bowser hit another home run. That's 3 in 3 games to put them up. Horns, though, responded. They 3-spot of their own. 2-out rally in the 4th inning, knotted the game. Cardinal immediately re-added 3 more. That came in the bottom of the 4th inning to take the lead. They held that lead until the 8th. And that's when Texas responded with another rally. Peyton Powell doubled to score a pair, and a big 2-out single from Dylan Campbell to knot the game at 6, and it was tied at 6 into the 9th inning. Texas ace Lucas Gordon had come out of the bullpen and had 2 runners on, but 2 outs and a chance to get out of the frame with 1 more out.
Gordon from the stretch, the 1-1 pitch, popped up. This one out to the outfield, not seeing it is Kennedy, and the ball's going to drop and the game's over. Eric Kennedy could never find it. I was about to say that we're into that twilight portion of the evening where it's so difficult to pick up the ball above the lights.
There it was, that twilight sky, and no one saw it, Dylan Campbell nor Eric Kennedy. Stanford gets the game 7-6 to bring the Longhorn season to an end for a disappointed but proud head coach David Pierce.
Kids just battled their tails off all year, and you told me March 15th that we would have opportunity to go to Omaha in a 1-game winner-take-all. I'd take it any day, but at the same time, I hate the way we lost the game. Just losing the ball in the lights and right in the center of twilight just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Wasn't meant to be. We'll hear more from Dylan Campbell coming up in the Craig Way report, talking about not seeing that ball and what you can do about it. NBA, 56 years as a franchise, 47 in the NBA, and the Denver Nuggets are finally NBA champions. They topped the Miami Heat in Game 5 last night. Other finals, 94-89. Win capped a 16-4 run through the playoffs for the dominant Nuggets, led by their 28-year-old Serbian superstar Nikola Jokic, 2-time league MVP, and now add a finals MVP to that resume. He finished with 28 points and 16 rebounds, the first player ever to lead all players in the playoffs when points scored, rebounds, and assists. Young Nuggets have already opened as the odds favorite to win next year's title as well. Next up for the NBA calendar, draft is a week from Thursday. Spurs are on the clock, of course, with that number 1 pick, followed by free agency in July. Major League Baseball, first place Texas Rangers returned home last night and opened a homestand. They ran into Shohei Ohtani and the LA Angels. The game's best player homered twice, drove in 4 to lead the Halos to a 14-inning comeback 9-6 win. Ohtani now leads the American League with 20 home runs this season. Astros and Round Rock had the night off. Houston's going to open a series with Washington tonight at Minute Maid Park. Express open a 12-game homestand at Dell Diamond, starting with El Paso tonight at 7:05. And finally, some pretty surprising news from college softball. Just a couple days after leading Oklahoma to a 3rd straight national title, their ace pitcher Jordy Ball announces she's transferring back to her home state and is going to play at Nebraska next season. All right, there we go. That's the first time we've heard the Craig Way call of it, and had it right. I mean, it was a pop-up but it went high. I mean, it was in the air for 7 seconds by the count. I mean, it was a sky-high pop to short right center field, and it's one of those that if everybody sees it, several people could have caught that ball. And I thought the most painful piece of video or picture to see was Dylan Campbell in tears, just steps from the baseball because it landed 10, 15 feet from him. He just never saw it. I mean, that's the most helpless feeling in the world as a baseball player and outfielder. It's just you didn't see it off the bat. You're not going to pick it up in that twilight sky. What are you going to do? But that's one of the best right fielders defensively in all of college baseball. Makes that play 100 times out of 100 if he sees it. And to see him with, and he's been such a rock for Texas all year long. The hitting streak, batting the 3-hole, and you just hated to see that happen right in front of him, and then the tears in his eyes, the helpless feeling. You'll hear from Dylan coming up in the
that feeling sucks.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and that's how your season ends. That's brutal. And if you make the play and they will see the ball, which is a routine play, you may go win the game. I mean, that's really what was my mindset because, I mean, I'm big on momentum in baseball. There is momentum in baseball, just like in football or basketball, and the Longhorns had stolen the momentum. Stanford, I felt like, had it for most of the ball game, got the early lead, and then when the Longhorns tied it, recaptured that lead. But momentum was in Stanford's dugout most of the night, but Texas stole that back with that 3 spot in the 8th. Dylan Campbell with the big hit to tie the game, and then Dylan Campbell, when he threw out the kid at third base with that, howitzer throw, unbelievable. Number 1 play on SportsCenter tonight or last night, and why not? I mean, it was Gold Glove kind of stuff and just a rocket. I mean, that play, Texas's dugout was on fire, and Lucas Gore did come in, and Zane Morehouse had given you a chance on the pitcher's mound to hold it where it needed to be, and if he catches that ball, you're running into the dugout with a ton of momentum because remember in the first batter of that inning looked like he hit a home run to win the game. Rios, right? It looked like a walk-off. And next thing you know, he's standing on second base, and then you
jogging around.
Yeah, then you throwing his helmet.
Still think he should have been out. Just because it's I want to see him get called out there, but if it's a rule in such a consequential spot, I think you need to follow it. I don't know why they didn't there if that is the case.
Well, I mean, the rule is you have to have a helmet on the base paths, but all the time you see guys' helmets come off when they're running full speed. Well, but they don't call them out if it happened in live play. They call them out. You can't be on the base paths without a helmet on. But if it happens during the play, they're not going to call you out.
But how did that reaction affect like the guys on Texas fielding that play? Like seeing the whole Stanford dugout come out and starting to celebrate, seeing him throw off his helmet.
I didn't see anything there that you could have called an out for him. Point of it is, though, it was a break for Texas because it looked like a home run.
That would have ended the inning, though, if you would have got him at second right there.
Well, it would have ended the ending if they had seen the pop-up, and that would have been my point. That's my point. At that moment, you run off the field like pumped, man. Let's go get the bats in our hands. Let's go get this thing. We just dodged another bullet. Momentum lives in burnt orange, and obviously it didn't. And then obviously you saw the emotions for Texas and the emotions for Stanford, and Drew Bowser with what turns out to be a walk-off hit. That was just a pop-up, as it was, but frustrating for the Longhorns to have the season come to an end like that.
I know, to battle like you've been battling throughout this whole deal, and then to have the routine, what it looks like it's going to be a routine out, not be so routine, and you never see the ball till it bounces off the ground.
And then you're just helpless because the game's over and your season's over. And for Dylan Campbell, who's a junior, may probably to get drafted, might be your career is over, and that's not the way you want to see it wrap up. Unfortunately, for
I said earlier, though, that if there was anything that'd ever make me want to come back for my senior year to try and make it back to the College World Series, it would be a play like that. I wouldn't want to end my college career on something like that.
I'm just reading these text messages, which says, what about running outside the baseline? Should that have been called for an out? I don't know that he did run outside the baseline. It was close, but that would have been ticky-tack in my mind. And I'm not going to get on the officials for that, but I'm going to get on that home plate umpire because it felt like Lucas Gordon had to throw like 6 strikes in one at-bat. And now he did the same thing to the Stanford pitcher, too, earlier in the ballgame, that rally in the 8th inning for Texas. I don't know what the strike zone was for that young guy. Poor guy was getting frustrated. And that when Dylan Campbell battled and got that big hit, there were a couple of really, really close pitches that I thought could have been called strikes, and that benefited Texas. Umpire had a tight strike zone. In the end, bad fortune, and gets the Longhorns end the season But as David Pierce, we heard him say earlier, if you don't win the national championship, everybody's season ends in disappointment. And,
That's right. That's what you start the season out looking for.
And they gave themselves a chance. And I don't think when you saw this team playing in mid-March, you thought this is a team that has a chance to get to Omaha. But here they are. I mean, I said that yesterday going into the game, and even more. I mean, the coaching that was done, the camaraderie that was built for that team.
Yeah, I mean, the growth of the team.
Yeah, man. I mean, they didn't know who their Saturday or Sunday starter were all the way into April. I mean, that is really, really tough to do, to put it together like that. The only thing you knew was Lucas Gordon. You had to figure out LeBaron Johnson Jr. I remember talking to Coach Pierce in our first visit, asking if LBJ might be the closer. And he's like, no, I think we think he can stretch out and be a starter for us and really be a good starter for us. And obviously that worked out, but it wasn't until April that he became the Saturday guy. And, the who's going to pitch the Sunday had been Zane Morehouse, had been Travis Staley. How are we going to, Charlie Hurley was a guy that was getting some starts. And so the best the pitching staff was and the most solid was when the postseason began, really, and really that West Virginia series.
Winning is hard.
Winning is, for sure, especially when you can't see the ball.
Nope.
But it says, bitch all you want. We're not bitching. We're talking about the game. Baseball gods righted the series. Stanford was the better team. Proved it the whole Supers. Well, look, I don't disagree with that. I think Stanford's the better team. But I thought
a lot of teams better teams lose.
Let me say, I think Stanford is a more talented team right now, and the more veteran team, and they're playing on home field. That's why I'm saying if he catches that pop up and you get out, you may go win this game. You may go find a way to put yourself in Omaha, which was what really for me felt like that's the momentum of the ball game, with all the plays seemingly going Texas's way, and that one didn't. And season over, Stanford to the College World Series for the third consecutive time. When they get there, by the way, they're going to be running into the best team in college baseball. Their first game will be against Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest, Buck, when you get to Omaha, man, that team has 3 Friday night starters. They got 3 pitchers who could pitch for anybody on Friday night.
Bet that over.
What's the over-under?
It's probably like 15, I'd imagine. I mean, they've scored 75 runs in the postseason so far. Well, Wake Forest, that is. Well,
the pitcher who they're going to face when they get there is got an ERA of 1.92.
Oh, it's that guy?
And he's 14-1 for Wake Forest. So,
Wake Forest might be able to score all those runs themselves.
Yeah, well, they're likely to face the kid the Quinn Matthews, who, we'll see how he bounces back from his 156 pitch performance. But, he did that on a Sunday night. I mean, I would imagine, I don't know what the schedule is yet in Omaha, but he likely will start that first game or have an opportunity to start that first game. Maybe he goes 2 just to give him an extra day.
When is all that to start the weekend?
This weekend, yeah. Essentially, you do the 4-team regional with your 4 teams. And
right.
Stanford is in a tough draw. Texas would have been in the same spot. Wake Forest, LSU, and Tennessee. Wake Forest, LSU, and Tennessee are in that 4-team regional. Wake is the number 1 team. LSU, as we know, has the talent of a number 1 team with Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, the center fielder. Tennessee just went into Hattiesburg and won the super regional last night 5-0. Frank Anderson and that pitching staff. Tennessee, a really good ball club, and then Stanford. That's a really good 4-team bracket. The other bracket features Florida. It's probably the best team, number 2 in the country, and an unbelievable pitching staff. Virginia, who's an outstanding ball club. TCU, of course, is there, and Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts on the other side. So one of the 4 will come out of bracket 1. One of the 4 will come out of bracket 2, and those 2 will play a best-of-3 series for the national championship. We've got 5 of the top 8 national seeds, and the ones that aren't top 8 were Tennessee, TCU, and Oral Roberts. But the other ones were all top teams. And Tennessee was a top team a lot this year, despite that SEC. And TCU was a preseason top 15 team. It just took them a while to put it together for Kirk Saarloos, and right now they're playing great. And we told you yesterday, Oral Roberts has won 36 of their last 38 games. And they're coming in really hot, to say the least. That TCU Oral Roberts first game will be a lot of fun in Omaha, Nebraska. And unfortunately, the Longhorns will not be there this time around. All right, we'll come back. We'll pick up these conversations and take your thoughts on the end of the Longhorn season. Craig Way will have more, of course, from the Craig Way Report, plus Salacious Gossip and your Blitz for the end of the hour. It's B&E on the Horn. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK, folks. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK is the official LASIK provider of Austin FC, but they're the official LASIK provider of Austin. Yours truly as well. Going on 4 years now with my procedure and still working every morning, doing my thing without my helper glasses, vision corrected and seeing and feeling great with my eyesight, and you can too. All you have to do is get into Sharp Vision today and set up that easy appointment, free eye test. They've got that latest equipment to find out what's going on with your eyes. And as I tell you, and this surprises a lot of people that I talk to, that 9 out of 10 people discover that there is a procedure to correct their vision, to get out of the glasses, get out of the contacts. 9 of 10. And they also are going to help you make sure you can fit the budget with this thing. They've got guaranteed financing for up to 2 years. They've got procedures that start as low as $495 per eye. Teach you how to use that FSA pre-tax rollover money that you're saving towards your vision correction, and they're ready to go. And they're the best. That's the other part of this. So it really checks all the boxes. Nicholas Lancaster and his great team there at Sharp Vision have been voted the best of the best in the corrective eye LASIK category by the readers of the Austin American-Statesman for 3 consecutive years, and well on their way to a 4th. And all you have to do is call them 596-2020. That's 512-596-2020. Book an appointment online as well. It's easy to do. Sharp-vision.com. That's sharp with an E-vision.com. It's Sharp Vision Modern LASIK, the official LASIK provider of Austin FC. Text on the Specs text line says last night's loss right up there for me with the football loss to Texas Tech in 2008.
Oh, no.
Crabtree game.
Right through the wickets.
Both losses cost Texas a shot at playing for a natty. That's from CB.
Well, there's a lot more than just one more game to be played.
Sure. Well, so it's same with Texas and Texas Tech. They still had the rest of the season to play. But the loss derailed Texas in the Big 12 championship. But, only win the championship if you get the opportunity, and last night's loss prevented that. Here is an interesting text. It says, our tweet, a suggestion to Stanford baseball, who won the Palo Alto Regional when Texas outfielders lost the ball on the lights on a walk-off single. Fix your janky-ass system. I like that. Steve,
give us light.
Yeah. Steve the ump, answering some questions Ty had about if you take your helmet off, the umpire warns the player and coach unless it affects the play.
Wasn't trying to make excuses. I was just asking questions there.
I know, and he's answering them. Running outside the baseline is only called if you are trying to avoid the tag. Runner makes his own baseline. If he leads it to avoid the tag and be called out. That's Steve the ump. Steve the ump.
Thank you, Steve.
So Longhorn
That's
fans
interesting.
Frustrated, and rightfully so. And tip your cap to Stanford. They are the beneficiary of the good fortune and the janky-ass lighting system that they have. We know I've seen some comments from Texas A&M, people that cover the Aggies, that said we lost 2 balls in the lights at the same time last week.
What's the point of those lights? Are they trying to save like some bugs' lives from flying into them, or what?
It's the lights on top of the twilight, so it's not dark yet, but it's getting darker, and so it's that weird time, and you can lose things in those lights, and then you just never can pick it back up. You never.
And once again, those guys are used to playing in that.
Well, that's home field advantage to me.
Yeah, they're just used to playing in that.
That's the benefit of winning. Now, I will say this for Stanford: they don't play a lot of 5:00 games.
You're probably right.
Right. I mean, that's part of this. That game started at 5:00. West Coast time, 7:00 our time, which is why it was right about 8:20, 8:30 when that play happened. It was 10:30 here.
Once again, it's what happens every once in a while. It just happens.
It just happens. Sports. That is frustrating.
So you can hit a home run, do your home run trot, hit second base, and make a huge looping just before you hit the infield, and
he looped right at first base.
Yeah, but you can do that. I mean, I guess
so.
Yeah,
if you're not avoiding a tag,
right?
I guess, according to Steve the ump. But yeah, that I don't know that, because if Jack O'Dowd would have tagged him out, he'd have been out. But that's when you thought the Longhorns caught a break, where it looked like a walk-off home run, and instead you had a walk-off.
I think even Lucas Gordon thought that ball was gone based off his reaction.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I think there was a lot of topspin on it, so I think it sunk back down in the California air. But then to dodge that bullet and then to have that be the way it ends was just such a downer. Such a downer. Let me say one other thing on that Crabtree catch, Buck. A little promotion. Last night we recorded a new edition of the Eyes on Texas multicast, powered by the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Network and also the Horn YouTube page, my buddy and Mike Craven and I. But Mike was out last night on vacation, so Quan Cosby sat in with me. Had a good 45 minutes with Quan, and we talked about that game, that 2008 season, that Quan was on that team. That was, you talk about bitter. So Quan was real bitter last night watching that. But that'll be dropping today. Look for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think a lot of Longhorn fans will love to hear Quan's thoughts on his baseball career, coming to Texas and joining that national championship team. And also very optimistic Quan is for the upcoming football season. You're going to find that. It'll be on the Horn YouTube page. It'll be Spotify and iTunes. Also will be coming down on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page as well.
Yep.
It is the Eyes on Texas multicast powered by Grande Equipment. So look for that today. Quan Cosby, our special guest host. You're going to want to hear that. But, yeah, it did remind me of the 2008 game. Quan played in that game. Quan remembers that game very, very well. So, unfortunately. But then the following year, actually, no, that same year, 2008, Buck, is when he caught the touchdown pass in the Fiesta Bowl to beat Ohio State, because they didn't get to play for the national championship. He caught the pass with 16 seconds to go, dove in the end zone, and got a penalty. Remember that, when he dove in the end zone and they called him for a penalty? The
diving in there?
Yeah, diving in the end zone. And I remember Major Applewhite was furious at that call, because he's like, that guy never showboats ever. Like, what are we doing? Can't call a penalty on that, but it secured the game. Longhorns won that ball game. And who would have known if Blake Gideon makes the interception or Crabtree gets pushed out of bounds, who knows? Longhorns could have played for him. But, is this a national championship caliber team at Texas? Who knows? I mean, Stanford advances, but at the same time, always nice to get back to Omaha. Because Stanford goes for the third straight time. The Longhorns would have been going for the third straight time for David Pierce. We'll hear from more from Craig Way coming up with the Craig Way Report. Speaking of straight times, can I say this again? I think this might be the most remarkable stat of the morning that's being buried. This comes from the NBA. We know Nikola Jokic just had a historic run through the playoffs. The Nuggets had a historic run through the playoffs. The first championship of what could be several for a young, dynastic-looking Nuggets team whose best players are coming into their prime, all under contract. But the story of Christian Braun, Buck, the rookie out of Kansas, doing a little bit of research, we have discovered that Christian Braun, with winning the NBA title last night as part of the Nuggets, has now won 5 straight championships since he's 16 years old. He won 3 straight high school state championships at his high school in the 6A level of Kansas basketball. Went to Kansas, won a national championship as a freshman with the Jayhawks, and then in his rookie year in the NBA, they win their first ever NBA championship for the Denver Nuggets. Somebody's got to tell me that that's happened before. Is there another example of this? 3 straight high school championships, a college national championship, and now an NBA title
5-bagger
in 5 consecutive years. That is unbelievable.
That is a big 5-bagger, too, now.
And obviously he was a key cog on his high school team. He was a key cog on the Kansas team that won the Natty. This one, he's support player.
Played in every game.
Yeah. I mean,
he had one really big game, but he had like 21 points and
that
like
great
16,
game down in Miami
minutes.
for sure. And the only other players to ever do what he did in the college and then in the pro level in back-to-back years, Billy Thompson, Magic Johnson, Henry Bibby, and Bill Russell. He's joined that company. But did they win? Maybe they did. Maybe they did Magic win a bunch of high school state championships ahead of doing that? Christian Braun won 3 in a row in high school, sophomore, junior, and senior. So, yeah, since he could drive, this guy, all he does is win championships. And I don't know what's going to happen to his mindset when he loses. I don't know if he's going to be ready for that. He hasn't sensed the agony of defeat yet. All that guy does is win.
He's not going to know how to lose.
I know. I mean, that's sports, and we saw it last night for the Longhorns, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. This guy, Christian Braun, doesn't know the other.
You could tell that he'd been there before, though. He wasn't hesitant at all in the series or in the playoffs.
Well, that's the kind of winner you want, right? I mean, that's baller. That's a guy you can, and that's another young piece for that Nuggets team that comes back already as the odds favorite to do it again next year. Hey, Buck, how about this piece of breaking news that has come down this morning? U.S. Open golf this weekend, Father's Day weekend, tees off Thursday. Guess who are playing together in first round and second round action? Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka are in the same group.
Very nice.
They're 2 of the central players in the bitter 2-year dispute between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf, and by all accounts don't like each other very much.
And Rory's not playing so hot right now.
Rory's
I feel like he gets like top 10 in every tournament. He just never can win.
His Sundays have been bad, and he's having a hard time with his iron game. I mean, he's the longest and straightest driver you're going to find, but then he has a hard time with the wedge game. He's just off. He ends up in the rough, and you got to get up and down to try to save par.
Maybe he should stop doing mid-round interviews for 2 holes on Sundays and maybe try to focus a little bit.
By the way,
on his stupid AirPods.
By the way, the guy Nick Taylor, who won the Canadian Open, he did one.
Yeah, a couple of those guys have been hot.
On Sunday.
A couple of those guys have been hot doing that.
I would be so mad if they're like, hey, by the way, on 15, you got to put it on these AirPods.
Well, they don't tell you. I mean, they just ask you if you will do it. It's their choice. They can say absolutely no.
They have every right to say no, thank you. But Nick Taylor did it, and he's from Canada. He's playing the Canadian Open. He's in contention.
Some other guy did it a couple of weeks ago and won.
Yeah. Well, because Rory did it at the Masters.
See, I do like when they brought John Rahm in, like during the
after he was
PGA
done.
Championship.
Yeah,
after
when he brought him
you're
after he's done. Yeah,
like to do some analysis, and I mean, he had some great things to do. So
yeah, Max Homa did it and won.
See, Max Homa's a dude that needs to be focused.
Ooh.
So does Rory. I mean,
but if you play golf, you can walk up the fairway.
I mean, some guys can do all those things. Yeah.
Those guys talk to each other when they're walking.
Yeah,
up the
but then
fairway.
they're like, "All right, let me hit this shot real quick, and then I'll be back with you." And
they do. You hear them say that. Yeah.
I think what he did, what I saw was he was just walking up the fairway, and they were talking to him, and he almost walked into his playing mate hitting. He's like, "Oh, sorry," and he was talking. But yes, I mean, a good golfer, you take those out and you refocus and you get ready for your shot. But I understand not wanting to do that. But
and they can tell you they don't want to do it.
Right. And Nick Taylor did it and won the tournament.
72 footer. Come on, man.
I saw a bunch of footage yesterday of people with their phones out that caught that from the gallery. I mean, the stands were packed with Canadian golf fans. That was what an incredible finish. I know it was a really tumultuous week last week, and now Senator Blumen.
And by the way, where's the mounted Canadian police during all that stuff with security?
Well, they had a
They
security.
would know.
They
Aren't the Mounties supposed to be there around the holes
but they were there
instead of having the
What do you
mall
think?
cop?
Well, he's the course security,
Mall security.
event security. But boy, the videos of that for a tumultuous week. And now, what is it? Senator Blumenthal is going to call some hearings on this merger, and we'll see where that goes. And that's going to be a conversation throughout this week into the U.S. Open. So we'll certainly follow golf and be ready. They'll hit the website, hornfm.com, your fantasy golf contest powered by Callahan's General Store. Pick your 9 golfers.
Yeah, and this will be very important because this is when these guys all come together and play in these major tournaments. It means a lot. It means a lot to not only the money that they've gotten from Live and what's going on with that is the fact that their sponsors. They're hitting Callaway balls and clubs. This is a big deal for them.
Well, it's a big event, right? It's the
Oh my goodness.
The major championship, and if you're an American, it's the U.S. Open. The reigning champion is Matthew Fitzpatrick. He'll tee off Thursday. Guess who he's playing with? The reigning Open champion Cameron Smith and the Aggie Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett, the Texas A&M young star, will play alongside Cameron Smith and Matthew Fitzpatrick, an Open champion and a U.S. Open champion.
Did he not play this week in Canadian? I think he struggled.
Not sure. Let's hope he's playing faster than he did at the Masters, for crying out loud. We speed this thing up between you and Patrick Cantlay. I can't handle it. Can't do it. Yeah, but that's the headline. Roy McIlroy and Brooks Koepka playing together at the 123rd United States Open at L.A. Country Club. That should be interesting. Might even be a little icy. And Brooks
he doesn't care.
Brooks doesn't mind getting a little icy.
Oh, no, he doesn't care.
And I don't think Rory does either. He's got a little bit of that Northern Irish temper. That could be fun. With Brooks. And look, when you're looking at this tournament, looking at this course, and you got to put Brooks Koepka in your picks, don't you? I mean, the harder the course, the tougher the conditions, the better that guy is. And he's looking to win his 6th major. Until proven otherwise, when healthy, Brooks Koepka is the best golfer. Now, Scotty Scheffler is one you should be considering too, because Scotty Scheffler.
Dude, and if you got wide fairways, he hits the tight ones. So.
Well, he's hitting the ball. His tee to green game is historically great right now. I mean, it's Tiger Woods-esque. From the tee box to the green. He's struggling mightily on the greens right now. If between his because he didn't play in the Canadian Open, did he?
No.
If he took the week off and he can maybe work on some things with the putter, he can be in contention here just because he's just hitting the ball so well and puring his iron shots and giving himself a chance to make par or birdie on almost every hole. He's not putting himself in trouble spots. He's just not putting. And, putting obviously a huge part of the U.S. Open every year. We'll see if he can be in that mix. But, yeah, you got to consider Brooks Koepka in the conversation. Yeah, so it's Rory, Brooks Koepka, and then Hideki Matsuyama, who Brooksy's going to be gigging him a little bit, right? I mean, it's, because the reports that Matsuyama turned down a ton of money from Liv because his Japanese following that he, like big money that he turned down that he now, with the merger, if it goes through, didn't take advantage of. But that was an interesting group for the first 2 days, Rory, Brooks, and Hideki.
Let me give the kids a quick tip. I had one written down and I didn't do it right away, but we're talking about hydration right now, Ty, and hydration. It's getting a little warm out there. How about hydrating your mind? Tips for kids online, not in the car line anymore. So summertime, we're talking about hydrating your body. How about hydrating your mind with some of the pleasant things that you see online? Some of the good stories that are out there, the ones that will give you a little bit of happiness because the little things do matter. Your smile, your light, very important. It's very important, not only in your home but in your community. How's that?
I like that.
Hydrate your mind. You like
with
to hydrate
positivity.
Yeah.
There's still car lines in the summer too. They got the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club.
Listen to you.
That's right. I used to go to the YMCA.
And you got the summer schoolers. You had the summer school.
Never was there.
No, you never went to summer school. I never went to summer school in high school. I went to summer school in college.
Well, in college you go.
Oh,
you're trying to finish.
I took my last summer.
Hated it.
Last summer I was taking 21 hours.
Oh, wow.
In the summer to graduate.
On the river in
like
San Marcos?
Oh, well, online.
My second year of college, I had to do some stuff, and I had to go to a building down by Fenway Park, down to the causeway down there, and I had no air conditioning.
Hey, we got to get to our timeout and get to our gossip and blitz. Good stuff on the tip for the kids not in the car line this summer. Coming back, I have a salacious gossip story that you guys are not going to believe. It's a public service announcement.
Uh-oh.
True story. Got to share it with you. And it's in Salacious Gossip, so you can connect the dots what this is going to be about. We'll have that ahead of your blitz loaded up. First, Craig Way. No games, just the gossip. Brought to you by the Icy Cold Bud Lights, the official domestic beer partner of your Texas Longhorns, of the Texas X's and the Texas OU game. Absolutely phenomenal for the summertime, whatever your summer pleasure will be. Live music, concerts, rivers, lakes, streams. Get out of it. Get to the pool, for crying out loud. Find a watering hole, but do it with the Ice Cold Bud Light. All right, I got a story for you, Buck.
Okay.
But first, I have to give you the results of a recent survey about sexiest professions. Apparently, women are most sexually attracted to firefighters, builders, and police officers, musicians, and lawyers.
Of course, lawyers.
Top 10 sexiest professions according to men: flight attendant, nurse, secretary, teacher, actor.
Did you say male servant?
Manservant.
Manservant.
So there you go. Not surprising, firefighters.
Sound like adult film categories.
Hey, big debate going on online, raging online, that a guy was cited by park police for littering by throwing a banana peel on the ground. Is a banana peel on the ground littering? Actually littering?
You can slip and fall. You kidding me?
You know
Is that a yes?
They are the ones that get real ripe for my wife. I throw those out of my car window in the morning to the animals.
See, they'll eat them, right? That's the thing. The animals will eat them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm littering.
It's biodegradable. It's going
with
to be
a
edible.
banana. Now, I don't do it.
really...
like coming down a main street and just drop a banana peel out of the car. No, but out in the country, I think some animal will like that banana. Correct?
Yeah.
49% people said in a park, you don't just want to drop it on the sidewalk. But that's a cartoon, Ty. Nobody's going to slip and fall on a banana peel. They're not that slippery.
You can.
Sure. Trip. All right, here's my story, Buck. This is true. Had a conversation with a really good friend of mine over the weekend. I will protect the identities for the right of privacy. But this is a true story. My good friend broke himself. He broke his man thing. Broke it.
It snapped?
Yes.
He broke himself, or he was broken?
It was, let's just say it was broken.
Just no matter how it happened, it got broke?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It got broke. And he was like, I never knew that was a thing. I never knew that was possible. And the only reason I heard of it is my wife used to watch a show called Sex Sent Me to the ER, one of those bad shows.
I mean, did he have to put it in a sling?
Well, this is where it gets really bad. He had to go to the emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
And he said he walked up and he said, hey, he tried to whisper to him, I broke my...
It's broke.
And he said the people were like, what? Or couldn't hear him. They're like, what? What'd you say?
Say it a little
louder.
louder.
I don't really want to broadcast this. But yeah, he had to have surgery. Like, they had to slice it open.
This is making my stomach hurt.
They had to put the
stop.
They put two popsicle sticks and put some wire around
essentially,
it.
Essentially, like open it up like a.
Wow.
Yeah, from the tip. Yeah, and
Man.
yeah. And then it got really awkward. He's like, I was like, I don't believe you. He's like, no, you want to see it? I was like, I don't want to see it. Come on, man. But
Come on, man.
So that's just a public service announcement.
You can't break your thing.
It can break.
Wow.
It can break. And you don't want it. He's on the DL for like 3 months.
Really?
At least 2.
He's going to have to slow maneuver that, too, when it's time to come back.
Swung on a pop foul back here.
Ow! Ow!
Oh.
It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Oh.
True story. So be careful out there. He is married, of course, and I didn't get into how this happened. One of these days we'll share that conversation.
He fell on it. He may have fallen on it.
He fell on it.
Oh.
I think he fell on it.
Walking around torqued up.
I think he fell on it. Yeah, Stitches, you don't want to know this story.
You know the whole story. I'm finding out today.
I just found out Saturday. I'm like, are you serious? And, God dang. Let's go to the Blitz.
Man. All right, first Blitzer, you're up.
I'm hydrating my mind, Bucky. Hey, UT baseball. We suck again. So you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Next Blitzer, you're up.
Hey, Bucky, this is Coach Tice. Next fall, the Houston Texans are going to induct J.J. Watt into that Ring of Honor. They'll also induct head coach Jimmy Johnson as Jerry Jones refuses to put Jimmy into the Cowboy Ring of Honor.
Wow. Next Blitzer, you're up.
Sports can be cruel and unfair.
Thank you very much, Sal. Next Blitzer, you're up.
Yeah, CDC needs to do two things: give David Pierce a raise, including the coaching staff. Valiant effort and a fantastic job this year.
Good
the other
job.
Thing is, send a note to the NCAA. Enough of this goddamn cross-country regional play.
Next
Digger,
blitzer.
Digger's banned for a month.
There you go.
Do that.
Got him. Next blitzer, you're up.
Yeah, this is a Pastor Smasher.
What's up, Smasher?
I have a tip for the kids. Make sure you have the Tom Herman P chart in your bathroom now.
That's true. It's summertime. Thanks, Smasher. Next
For the heels of
blitzer,
that,
you're
so
up.
Did you say tip? Come on, man.
Hey, UT baseball. Nice catch. That's Des Bryant.
That was a catch, by the way.
That was a catch. Next blitzer, you're up.
Yeah, this is Tim Duncan. Yeah, hey, Hogan, no big deal about your friend. I break mine off in Bobby Blues. That's like all the time.
Oh, God. Next blitzer, you're up.
Digger banned for 30 days. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So the doctor doesn't fear me. Doctor doesn't fear me. The ER doesn't fear me because I never break mine. If I do, I have to go to the veterinary.
Veterinarian.
Other Tim Duncan.
Next blitzer, you're up.
Hey, earlier you guys were talking about to avoid gambling and fantasy football to not listen to Wags' show. No one listens to Wags' show.
That ain't true.
Next blitzer, you're up.
You had one job. Ban that Klansman.
You had one.
We're working on it.
You had one job. Next blitzer, you're up.
Bucky.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard Chris Beard wants to volunteer for off-season workouts for the hitting coach for Texas.
Jeez. Next blitzer, you're up.
And another thing.
All right, that's enough. No, Ben, no, he's out. You can't
Outta
drop the
there.
GD and then come back. It can't happen.
Next blitzer, you're up.
OU and A&M ain't never helped us with nothing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You people.
Also, we mentioned earlier the tragic passing of actor Treat Williams. Treat Williams, star of stage and screen.
Yes.
You saw him on plenty of
my
Hallmark channel
Hallmark
shows.
channels, Christmas Hallmarks.
You know, not long before his tragic death on a motorcycle, somebody cut in front of him. His final tweet came early yesterday from a beautiful piece of property in Vermont.
Wow.
It said, mowing today. Wish I could bottle the scent. And had a little picture of his
Isn't that
tractor.
pretty?
Real pretty. And that was it.
That was his last treat.
That was it. Hug your kids. You never know. Never know. We will come back when we do. Final hour of hours on this busy Tuesday, recapping a horrible way to end the Longhorn baseball season. NBA season is in the rear view as well. The Denver Nuggets are your champions. We roll forward on 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. Stream it always on your Horn app, on your smart speaker, and at hornfm.com. Oh, no. This is not good. So during the break, Buck, after the story of salacious gossip that I told involving
Yes.
my good buddy,
Yes.
my mother, who listens to our show every morning while medical coding down in Houston on the Horn app, she says, I code broken penis all the time.
There you go.
You should talk to him. He could develop a permanent curve. It's called Peyronie disease. Peyronie's
Macaroni.
And then you have to get shots.
Oh, no.
Into your said.
No.
So I hate to tell him that. Hey, man, guess what? You want
to get macaroni or Peroni.
You don't want to get shots.
Thanks, Miss Hogan.
Yeah.
I know. Well, apparently it's a common thing. I said,
TMI.
Well, that's her job. She's got to
That's
code,
right.
code
No.
the medicals, right? Make sure
We
you're
need all the
punching them in.
information we can get.
I need info. Yeah, you know.
And this
you don't
show
want info on
does
this.
too for some
Well, listen,
of
we have
you
a lot of guys that
people.
listen to our show, and they probably didn't know that could happen. It can happen. Be careful. You can break it.
Well, man, yeah. If
And it
you're-
breaks.
if
I mean,
you-
it breaks like a stick.
like over exercising, like a lot of things can. If you're over, I mean, with
Well, it's usually a
underuse and overuse.
It's usually a crushing injury. It's a crushing injury.
Oh,
That's how you break it. Yeah.
rolling over in your sleep.
Got to be getting active.
That
rolling over in your sleep
could happen.
Oh,
well, that's what he said. Now that
then
he's
you
had
got to
the-
get yourself a sleep
most-
number mattress.
Most typical, it's caused by a partner. A little
Yeah,
a little aggressive.
Over aggressive, yeah.
Or yeah, could happen. And yes, that we'll move on from the very painful conversation
Yeah,
there.
I mean, are there any habit trail stories or anything? You got any of those?
No.
You want to
I
tell?
don't need to know the story of how it happened. I really don't. I just know I'm just giving the public service announcement. It's the show of the people after all. People should know this. If you don't, like Ty's learning this for the first time. He didn't know this.
Oh, I knew this could happen.
Okay.
I've had some friends that.
I've had some friends.
Ty, I had and you know, our good friend Jim Turner, the football coach, was at Texas State, offensive line coach, Texas A&M, coached in the NFL, walk on, became a fantastic professional coach, just unbelievable offensive line coach, played for me. And in that same team that he was on, I had that artist, you know, a kid who was a great artist. He was a kind of a walk-on kid too, but he did a portrait of one of the other fullback with a habit trail.
What?
And he put it all around campus. It was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. But you talking about turning heads, it was amazing. He was this great artist, so he had this picture of our player in this habit trail. You know,
Oh no, right into the wrong place.
Oh no, it was just, dude. It went around for about a week, and they couldn't collect enough of these pictures that were all around campus.
Oh my gosh. And then
they made
copies of them.
Oh, copies were everywhere, on seats in the dining room. I mean, it was great.
Does his
Great fun.
wife get to design the cast? No, well, no, it's a splint. It's a splint.
Well, you also.
Two popsicle sticks and some string.
it's
I'm
more
pretty
than
sure
that.
when that
Stitches.
happens, you can't have any blood flow down there for a while. Like
But you
months.
can't. But you can't control that.
Yeah.
I know, but they tell you like if you get.
You ever
get a
wake up in the
boner-
morning?
I know, but that's how those stitches pop.
I understand that, but how do you prevent that?
I've
you can't
always
turn
wondered.
it off.
I've always wondered.
No, I don't know
I have
either.
to give you some pills or something.
No, he says no. It just hurts like hell.
The anti-blue chew.
Well,
There's no such thing.
Well, I mean,
Anti-blue chew. How dare you?
Sometimes you just wake up in the morning, Ty.
Yeah.
Attention, Your Honor. I mean,
I
come
wake
on.
up too early for that. So do y'all.
Well, you know, kick to the junk,
You-
break your you know what. I mean, that's kind of
Oh.
like what the Longhorn game felt like last night. That's how when you lose a game and end your season like that in a 6-6 game, and a ball that is easily catchable doesn't get seen, and it's a kick to the junk for sure. Longhorn season.
And
came
they're
to an
using
end last-
lanterns for lights. Come on.
Well, we know that at Stanford, right? That is California, Buck. They use softer, more energy efficient LED lighting in Palo Alto, Berkeley, California.
I see.
Or not Berkeley, Palo Alto. Berkeley's Cal. But yeah, that's according to people who we've talked to this morning. I don't know that to be true, but it wouldn't surprise me. But in the end, Longhorns didn't see the ball. Happens all the time at that time of day, apparently out there in California, where you just don't see it. And unfortunate, Longhorns would have had a lot of momentum going into the dugout into the 10th inning, and instead they're coming home, and season is over. Part of the busy conversations of the morning. Also, we've got NBA Finals. Nuggets are the champs. Very impressive. Mostly a team built through the draft, developed through the draft in an era where everybody hates super teams and superpowers uniting that, you know what, this was a Denver team outside of a trade for Aaron Gordon, mostly built through draft picks and development, and they're at the top of the mountain in the NBA. Pretty darn impressive. Also, Buck, I mentioned that Ty and his Texas Rangers came home from that tough trip into Tampa last weekend, and they ran into Shohei Ohtani, who had 2 home runs last night. He now leads the American League with 20. I gave you this little number on the brilliance of Shohei. He has more home runs this year than any other American League batter, and he struck out more batters than all but one American League pitcher. He's pretty good, just saying.
And he'll be with the Angels for the remainder of time. Yeah, he's not going to get out of there. They're not letting him walk.
I just read this, listen to them. It's hard to be a Major League pitcher on a start-by-start basis. That's very hard. That's very hard to do, to be an everyday starter in Major League Baseball. But not only to do it, but to be one of the best in your game. And then to be the same thing as a position player.
And a home run hitter?
I mean, the average is high. The RBIs, he's right in there with Adolis Garcia and Yordan Alvarez, got 50 RBIs. I mean, to be the best, to be great at both, to be good at both is hard. To be okay at both would be impossible. To be great at both is, and all of it is, and he's a high-end outfielder and base runner. Not a thing that guy can't do on a baseball field. It's amazing to watch him. All right, speaking of baseball and nut punch, let's have our Tuesday visit with Ty Harrington, 20 years the head coach at Texas State, also a lifetime Longhorn who was feeling it last night like all the Longhorn fans were. He's been a manager when stuff like that happens. It's part of the game. But, Ty, what are your overall – good morning, by the way. What are your thoughts about what we saw last night and how that game ended?
Well, good morning to you guys. I mean, obviously the outcome was nothing how it happened. You don't get a choice in this game, and sometimes how things roll out. And if you've been around this game, which you guys have all been around sports for a long time, you know what you sign up for possibly, in that this game can be cruel sometimes. And for all the unbelievable moments and things that evolved throughout a career as an athlete, but particularly in baseball, it can just be so cruel sometimes. And certainly the ending of that was that way. But I found myself before the game actually in my own mindset, and not necessarily talking about everybody but mine. I went back in my mind, I'd gone out to Fullerton with Craig and Keith to do the games. And I was kind of going back in my mind how that team had evolved so much and how good a job they had done, in my opinion, starting with Coach Pierce or staff. You guys have well chronicled the idea of how much change and turnover there was going into the season. But really to understand and been in the halls of moments like that when you've got to turn a team over and get them headed in the right direction, I thought was just an unbelievable coaching job. I thought it was an unbelievable leadership job by the players, the older players. I thought the younger and the new guys meshed in so quickly. And I go back to that Fullerton series when he made the change, moved Peyton Powell to third out of, necessity, and all of a sudden different things. They came home, had a great home stand, gained some confidence, and really grew. And then if you go back and you look at this year as a whole, in my mind, again, this is just coming from me. Everybody's going to have a different view of this, but just about every time something, they would have a game would come up where they get beat and they'd had to respond. They responded. Almost every time they responded. They're tough-minded. I think as you heard Coach Pierce talk about the heartbeat of the team, and you could see that. I mean, you really could see it, and not just coach talk. I mean, you could really see how those guys responded each time, for lack of a better word, you got to get off the mat and go respond. They did, and they were doing it again last night, and that was what was so impressive and so entertaining and fun. And if you're a Horns fan, which are a bunch of you listen, you guys, look, I know everybody's hunting down that 39th time to Omaha, and it's not easy to do, by the way. It is not. But those guys battled so incredibly hard. And about the fifth inning, you could see the game starting to change towards Texas's favor. The momentum was changing. Zane Morehouse was out there pitching with his guts on his sleeve, just giving you everything he had. Your defense was doing what they always do, playing at a really high level. Dylan Campbell who still may be one of the greatest right fielders to ever play this game in orange and white. And that is hard to say, by the way, and that's a big statement. But for what he did, defensively, throwing the guy out, preventing the guy from getting to first to third on the ground ball before was in itself a respect to him because of his arm and his ability to play right field. But just so many things. And Stanford, for the first time, they were starting to crack a little bit, meaning they made 3 base running mistakes, huge base running mistakes in that game that kind of kept happening that, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is, they're going to do it. They're going to pull this off. And I mean, Zane was good. And then you go to Lucas Gordon, your guy. And I was concerned, not concerned, interested. When you bring a guy on short rest, we've all done it, by the way. If you're a college coach, you've done it. High school coach, you've done it. We bring him back on short rest. The very first thing you look at, it's not necessarily the velo. It's his command of his off speed. The very first changeup he throws in there was perfect.
Yep.
And then he throws another one. 3 of the first 4 pitches were off speed, and you're just like, this is going to happen. He's going to give us everything he's got again, and this is going to be one of those epic, epic games that who knows how it's going to end. And it just every once in a while, this game can be so cruel as it ended last night. But, man, if you're a Horns fan, you got to be certainly proud of what this bunch has done all year.
Out of all the sports, baseball has some of the freakiest endings and the freakiest things that happen during the course of the game. But for this team, I just like the way not only with all the different moves that had to be made this year, including some of the staff members, but players and staff members seem to flourish. They're not just in those different positions and you start counting on them in different ways. But the guys seem to flourish in that. And then the tougher the times, like you said, Ty, they just seem to get better. They never let things, once it start rolling downhill a little bit, continue to go downhill. They start pushing that rock right back up the hill again. And that's kind of, and I like teams that flourish. I don't like, when you make moves and guys just, oh, he was okay. He did all right. But this team seemed to flourish in different positions.
Oh, I think so. I mean, that's a great point, Bucky. I think that, as you say, they're pushing the rock up the hill. There were times early in this year that, they could have not flourished. They could have just, been average, right? They could have just gone on and said, well, we're rebuilding, new staff, and the kids could have taken that approach too, right?
Yep.
But they did not. The coaches didn't. The players didn't. They kept slugging back. They kept getting off the mat. They kept moving forward, and then they got hot, and then they got good, and then they became really confident, not only in themselves, but they became really confident as a team. And then if you look at this too, just again, then they get injured on the mound, right? And they just still keep trying to piece it together. And then they got to go on the road to Coral Gables in an historic place to go play. And they go in there and just like, oh yeah, well, here we come. And they did, and they went through that region, and then they got, they're going to get sent on the road again to Stanford, another really historic college baseball place, and they pushed the envelope to the end again. I mean, it shows, as you referred to it, pushing that rock up and flourishing and just playing as a team. This was a team. This was a true team when it get down to the end of it, and it was exciting and fun to watch those guys flourish and play, and, everybody's going to miss watching Eric Kennedy plays center field and a lot of other people. And who knows what the draft will tell a lot of different things. But, man, there was a lot of great plays. And those guys have every reason to be incredibly, incredibly proud of the effort they put in and throughout the whole season and certainly in postseason as well.
He is Ty Harrington, and obviously a lifetime Longhorn, 20 years and 25 years a manager in baseball. From his perspective, this says, man, I hope we don't remember Dylan Campbell for not being able to catch that pop-up as his Texas legacy. Great player, awesome representation for UT. And I don't think there's any chance of that, Coach. I mean, 38-game hitting streak, 3-hole hitter, clutch as they get. And I got to think that throw from deep right field to throw out a speedy runner while he's a little bit off balance, there can't be many throws you've seen from the outfield in all your years that rank higher than that one.
No, my God, it was an absolute missile. I mean, and the accuracy of it, and his ability to throw before as well. Remember the ground ball that rose through, and he throws it right to Daly and had a chance to tag that guy out, right? Before too. And so, and he went a long way. He was going away from his throwing arm.
Yeah.
Now you think about that for a second. He was going away from his throwing arm, has to reset his shoulders and his hips to line up the throw. And, I mean, he just launches a missile. I mean, look, to me, I've never seen a right fielder play right field as good as he does and as shallow as he plays right field. I mean, he stymies your run game on base hits, and then he still covers the ball deep and over his shoulder. And so, you know, I don't. No, I wouldn't remember that part of it about Dylan Campbell. There's no way that guy, in my mind, etched himself in University of Texas history and lore, and that's hard to do, my friends. That is not easy to do. The tradition of the great players and coaches and people that have been involved with that program, and that young man just ranked himself up there incredibly high in my mind, and I'm sure most people's minds as well.
Yeah, and he was a regional hero last year on the way to Omaha with the great series and the East Carolina series. And that guy, his legacy is set. And that becomes the real challenge, Coach, now. I mean, they got to come back and begin the offseason. And you've been through this so many times, but you just don't know, right? You're not sure how the draft's going to treat your players, your roster. I mean, this day and age of the portal, I mean, you feel like you got a good foundation, a solid foundation of young players, but always have to keep re-recruiting those guys and try to build something and build on this group into next year and be even better in 2024.
Well, I'm sure Coach Pierce and his staff have an idea of what the draft is, you know, going to bring towards them to some level. There's always an unexpected here and there, but for the most part, you at least have an idea of what you're dealing with. The portal is something that, you know, everybody's involved with to try to fix something, you know, to add to your team. And you saw the benefit of it. I mean, Porter Brown, guys, I got to be honest with you. I've seen Porter Brown play for 3 years. He was a really good player, really good hitter. To watch that young man evolve into a good outfielder and play every day out there in left field and hit, you go back and think about how many big clutch hits that young man had for University of Texas this year, and Gilmet and what he did behind the plate. I mean, so the portal was good to Texas this year, and I'm sure if they've got needs and if they'll be able to go out and get those and recruit the people that they need to keep this thing moving forward. I got complete confidence, as everybody else does, that they'll be able to do that. And it is. You got to keep moving your feet forward and looking, you know, forward to the next moment. That's part of this business. It's tough because what's crazy about it is as soon as that game ends, you gather your team up, your emotions, as a coach, your emotions too, by the way, and your players' emotions, you wear those with you. You gather everybody up. You wake up the next day, you get everybody back home safely, and then you start talking about, okay, we got to move forward.
Yep.
I mean, it is a tough lifestyle in business, and knowing that you got to keep your foot on the accelerator. You know, it's hard to look past these moments, but in the same breath, you got to keep moving forward. It's exactly what they'll do today.
Yeah, got to enjoy what you did, but then move on to the next. Speaking of the next, Omaha is going to be really good, Coach. I mean, you got 5 top 8 national seeds there, number 1 team in Wake Forest. You got a couple of outliers in Oral Roberts, or one outlier in Oral Roberts. Everybody else pretty much a heavyweight. I think even TCU was a preseason top 15 team, so not a shock that they're there. You have a favorite? I mean, that you've seen? I mean, Wake Forest looks really, really good. Florida's pitching staff is lights out. LSU has great talent. Is there a favorite for you going to Omaha?
Yeah, I think that if you look at Wake Forest, it's hard not to look at what they present. I mean, I got a chance. I think I told you the other day, I got a chance to watch them play 5 times in the last 2 weeks. It's the first really I've sat down and watched them. And they got tremendous balance and power in their lineup. But they're really good on the mound. Yeah. Their first 2 starters are really good. They've got a mid-relief right-handed guy who's really good. They can match left, but they got a good back-end guy as well. They play good enough defense. It's clean. It's not, like overwhelming when they play defense, flash or anything, but they're really solid. I think they're probably the favorite going into it. Florida probably is close in a sense of having talent. But, as we all know, what makes college baseball so incredible is you don't have to be the most talented every once in a while. You got to be the best that day, the best that week, the best that game, and things can happen. And it's been, fun to watch Oral Roberts, who I called 3 of their games back in February against Texas State, to watch them do what they've done. They've got a closer who's a Texas kid, the Denton kid, who's from Rowlett, who has just, been 92 to 97 all year long on the back end for them. They've got a really good shortstop. They play great defense. They put a tremendous amount of value on it. And it's been fun to watch them, emerge and do what they've been able to do as well. So it's going to be like it always is. I mean, look, if you love college baseball and you love to watch the drama of it and the excitement of it and the pure beauty of it, this next week is going to be a lot of fun for you as a fan. Obviously, we would love for Texas to be there every year because it makes it that much more exciting for Texas fans. But man, I tell you what, there's some really, really good teams and some really fun baseball players you'll get a chance to watch in Omaha this next week.
Yeah. Ty, as Coach Royal said, you don't have to be better than that guy every day, just that day.
Yeah.
Just that day. You have to be better than that other guy. That's all.
Yeah.
Not every day.
Well, you got to play through your bracket. And we already know that the first games, when you get to Omaha, Stanford will match up with Wake Forest, which will be a hell of a game. Tennessee and LSU, probably Paul Skeens on the mound. Virginia will face Florida, and then TCU faces Oral Roberts. So it's just on the first games of a double elimination side. Really, really good stuff coming. Unfortunately for the Longhorns, they won't be there. They'll have to watch it like all of us. Ty, thanks so much for the conversation. We'll keep going, and as the College World Series develops, we'll get your thoughts. But, man, thanks so much for the time on back-to-back days.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it, guys. Enjoy it, and I look forward to visiting with you guys in the future.
There you go. I'm looking at this graph right here and thinking of Ty Henderson through the glass, not Ty Harrington on the phone. Ty, Oral Roberts, plus 2,600 to win the College World Series.
I'd take a flyer on that.
Plus 2,600. They've won 36 of 38. Wake Forest is plus 260. So they're the odds.
I would probably
favorite.
take that, though.
they're the odds favorite.
Take both.
They're the odds favorite.
That or LSU.
LSU is plus 360. Florida plus 380, Virginia plus 700, TCU is plus 800 if you're a Horn Frog fan. Plus 800, $100 wins 800. That's not bad. But yeah, Oral Roberts plus $2,600, the Golden Hurricane. We will be back. Or no, they changed it to Golden Eagles now, didn't they? Golden Eagles, Oral Roberts?
Tulsa is the Golden Hurricane.
That's correct.
Yep.
Why is everything golden in Tulsa? I don't understand that. What's going on with golden? We'll be back. Beating on the Horn. Hate to see the way the Longhorns season ended last night, but as Coach Harrington so appropriately said, it happens. It's baseball. It can be a very cruel game. Very cruel game. And, a great player like Dylan Campbell, that's why I say that was just the vision that I'll remember. I'll remember all the great things Dylan Campbell did if that was his last game. But just him kind of squatting with tears in his eyes, realizing, once he saw the ball, just how close he was to it and would have been a routine play. Just never saw it. That's just such a shame. Nobody's fault. Just, as we said, there are mental errors, there are physical errors in sports and in baseball, but that was not an error on anyone. That was just a bad piece of luck and a bad time for the twilights and the lights and everything to be converging and that ball to, hit like it was. I mean, that's just it's very, very unfortunate.
Can't catch what you can't see.
Yeah, exactly right. And it was a pretty easy play. Can of corn, as you called it off the top of the show,
Yeah.
really was. You couldn't ask for anything. Just plenty of time to get under it, but it was up in the air about 7-8 seconds and run under it. So hated to see that. Also, Buck, we're talking NBA championship for the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. I mentioned earlier my new favorite quote from maybe any athlete is this one when he was asked about winning the championship, and his effusive answer after was, "The job is done. We can go home now."
Not so fast.
We came, we solved, and now we can go home. The job is done. And job well done, by the way, Nikola. But listen to this. This is in the press conference with Nikola Jokic with the media, and it's Monday night, and you'll hear this go between. He's ready to go back to Serbia. He's ready to get back to his horses, his family, and get into his off season. And here was how this went. And you could the look. This is the audio, but the video, you could tell he's not real happy with the answer that he gets from the team representative.
If you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
That's hilarious.
What can I tell you? No, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. I got to go home.
No.
I need to go home.
Thursday. We can't do that tomorrow? Come
what
on.
are we waiting for Thursday for?
Yeah, that's like 3 days from now.
Is that a slight at Denver? He just wants to get out of Denver? I mean,
No, he just wants to go home.
He's got
It's a long
family.
season.
By the way, his kid did pretty good. He had that little baby up there while he was receiving his Bill Russell trophy. By the way, he is the first player since the passing of Bill Russell to receive that trophy. So that's pretty unique, and for the MVP of the finals, pretty awesome. But yeah, no, I need to go home. I'm ready.
We came, we won. I've seen enough basketball. I need to go home.
He plays for Denver. He plays for the Denver Broncos, but he lives in Serbia. So when season's over, he goes back to his homeland.
You better not be playing
Home
for the
country.
Broncos.
Yeah.
Maybe playing for the Nuggets.
But the job is done. Let's go home. Let's go home.
Are you looking forward to the parade?
No, I can't. I'm assuming he won't skip the parade. I mean, I'm assuming that won't happen.
He's got some horse races he's got to watch. Come on.
And look at the video there of the fans outside of the arena. And Aaron Gordon, their young star, another one of their young stars out there jumping up and down with the fans with he hasn't even changed yet, Buck. He's got his basketball shorts on. All he's got is his shirt off. And he's out there being a man of the people, jumping up and down in the streets of Denver. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. Denver Nuggets, a team that's easy to root for. Easy to root for. And as I draw on the parallels to the San Antonio Spurs of 1999, when they won their first championship, and a young star like Jokic with a young star like Tim Duncan was going to be the centerpiece of the future, and we know what happened. They had young stars emerging. That was the Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott team in 1999, and of course we know it became Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and that group, Bruce Bowen. But that was the first one. This one seems like it's built more like the Golden State Warriors, that this team could go on a pretty impressive run here if they can all stay healthy, stay together, and get Jokic to come back from Serbia and then play again next year and not go home. But young team, good team. They also, much like the Spurs in 1999, who went 15-2 in their playoff run to the championship, they finished off a 16-4 run through the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns, the only team that won more than one game against them in the playoff.
Yep.
They swept the Lakers. They went 5 games with the Heat and Minnesota. That's a dominant run to the championship. Never faced an elimination, even the thought of an elimination game.
That was a pretty salty team they just beat, too.
Yeah, and Miami had gone through the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the East, and yeah, they were pretty awesome. But yes, the job is done. We can go home now. The humble superstar.
Got to go.
Got to go. Sounds like something Tim Duncan would have said. You know, let's go home. Let's go swimming. Remember, Tim Duncan grew up a swimmer. Where's he from? The islands of Saint
Bahamas?
No.
Jamaica. He's not. Is it the Bahamas he's from?
I think he's from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
There you
Islands?
go. That's what it is. St. Croix. St. Croix. And St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Nice sweaters.
And on to.
Seems like a U.S. Virgin Islands kind of guy.
It is kind of incredible that all these teams have this big man superstar who has come from elsewhere in the world to help lead them to the promised land, right? Houston would have Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan for the Spurs.
Germany,
Dirk with Dirk Nowitzki, who took them to their only championship. Obviously, Nikola Jokic now. And you would also say that you could get some pretty good odds on who is going to be the next American-born NBA player to win an MVP.
A regular season MVP or a finals
Either.
MVP?
And regular season, let's go with that. Because I don't know. I mean, you're talking about Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Luka. Here comes Victor Wembanyama, who's rolling in here. Jokic isn't going anywhere. I think
it's a good question.
It is a good one.
The days of James Harden and Damian Lillard. Damian never even won one, did he?
No, he didn't. And Jokic is going to be hard to beat if he stays healthy because that guy seems like the MVP to start the year, kind of like Steph Curry was, LeBron James. That guy's just too damn good. And to do something that's never been done before, lead all players in the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists for the entirety of the playoffs. Obviously, he played more games than a lot of those guys, but that's still never, ever been done before. Pretty darn impressive. So that was good to see last night. For the Nuggets, Heat's over, and now the NBA will look forward to the NBA draft, which is 1 week from Thursday. With Victor.
That quick, huh?
Victor Wembanyama on the clock.
There'll be a lot of moves made between then and now.
I saw where the Pelicans want to move up.
They're trying to get Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, everybody wants Scoot Henderson, which big-time point guard. Big-time impactful point guard. I still go back to this Victor Wembanyama. He played again yesterday over in that French league. He's got an 8-foot wingspan, Buck. Just think about that.
He's silky smooth.
8-foot wingspan.
Yeah, him handling the ball is something.
So if he stood right in the middle of the lane and turned sideways, he could almost reach the free throw line to the basket.
The sideline.
Well, think about that. If he stood in crossway, I mean, he could put left hand towards the free throw line, the right hand towards the basket, and he's only a foot either way shy of covering the entire paint. That's a shot blocker problem. Plus, he's 7'4", so you have the wingspan on top of being that tall. Of course, he's going to have an impact. I mean, I don't know what his offensive impact will be early, but his shot blocking impact will be immediate because he's just too tall. I mean, he can't shoot over that guy. That's unbelievable. Spurs will take him, and yes, Scoot Henderson. But I saw some projections, Ty, that the second two picks maybe don't need a point guard. Is there any chance?
Charlotte with LaMelo.
Yeah.
Don't need a point. I mean, Scoot Henderson's not really I think he's more of a two guard.
Well, the Texans would love if he fell down to them at 4.
Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets, I should say. The Rockets would love if he would fall. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think someone will trade up before that happens.
Yeah, he's the consensus number 2 player in the draft, and I won't say it's a 2-player draft, but those two are seen as like better than everybody else. But hey, Nikola Jokic was the 41st pick in the second round. So, and we gave you that stat earlier. He's the first player not drafted in the top 15 of a draft to win both the regular season MVP and a finals MVP. That's also a first for the man who's going back to Serbia. We'll be back. We'll reset these top stories, get you teed up for the rest of the day on the Horn, including what's coming up on Light the Tower.
Folks, AV Consultation and Tom McKay and the group have everything that you need to have the entertainment system of your dreams. That way you don't have to go shop for the TVs and the surround sounds and then all the mountings and the equipment needed to make it all work. Tom and his guys will bring it right out to you, and they will get it done and get it done the right way. As I said, don't try this yourself. Please don't do that. Audiovisual Consultations is one of the largest dealers of most televisions and audio brands. They have all the hottest items in stock. That's right, in stock just for you. Not only does Tom stock up with the hardest to find smart TVs and Sonos audio equipment, they are not raising the prices like a lot of others have so far. Audiovisual consultation, 512-255-8678, or catch them online at abconsultations.com.
Yeah, we have another incident of fan on the field getting jacked by security guard video out this morning. Happened
Man.
at Fenway Park, it appears, last night.
Father of 14.
Drinker of 14 beers.
Oh, man.
Ran onto the field into the outfield, and he's got his hands up in the air. He's running.
He wants everybody to see him.
And he's looking, and he does not see security guard coming out of off the green
Mall
monster.
cop got him big
Decked
time.
him up under his armpit. Down goes drunk fan. That was awesome.
I'm going to have to do that one of these days.
One of these guys are going to turn on mall cop as he comes running. They're going to catch him out of the corner of their eye and throw that elbow up.
Well, then instead of a night in jail, you're going to spend a lot longer in jail.
Yeah, that's assault.
Not assault if you are the one, like the mall cop, as you guys call him, at the event in Toronto over the weekend, the Canadian Open.
That's the Mounties' job.
He's doing his job.
Those guys are looking for that big hit.
That's right. That's right. Well, again,
Yeah, it's true.
If I was a security guard, I'd be waiting.
That's right. That's
Just wait. Don't even
your
step
security.
on. Yeah, one step onto the field and that's it. The guy slips.
Don't act like those guys don't have like a football pad in their backyard that they're like practicing on.
Listen. Well, you should. You got to be trained for your job. And I knew many a bouncer back, and when I was in St. Ed's, several of my buddies worked the door down on 6th Street, and didn't mind mixing it up. And I'm going to tell you, they don't wait to ask questions. If something's going down, it's going down.
I'm just running out there with my taser. I'm putting you to the ground. It's just
minute you blank around and find out, that's what if you're just taking control of the situation is what you're trying to do in that spot, not let it get out of hand. By the way, I mentioned the basketball with Victor Wembanyama's 8-foot wingspan. The goal is 10 feet tall. Free throws are 15
feet wide, right?
15. Well, from the foul line to the basket,
Right.
it's about actually 13 internationally, 15 in the NBA. But so yeah, it's safe to say his wingspan very, very long, and the Spurs will draft him in a week from Thursday. But 15 feet is your foul shot if you're practicing them at home, and you should be. We should all be able to make some free throws. You know what I'm saying? Also, Buck, a little piece of breaking news from Los Angeles, the U.S. Open, site of the U.S. Open, just outside of Beverly Hills, California. How about Scotty Scheffler today, spotted with a new putter.
Oh.
New putter. A Scotty Cameron
Looks like a
Newport
Cameron.
2 Plus putter. Yeah, it's a Scotty. He's been struggling with the putter, and sometimes, you know what? You just got to change the equipment. Go with something that changes your groove.
Absolutely.
Because we know Scotty can putt. I mean, when he's
Oh my goodness, that
an
year
elite-
the Masters win.
Yes. Yeah, and ask John Fields at UT. That guy's an elite putter. There has been, but it comes and goes, and sometimes you get a little off your game. And it's not like Scotty's missing putts terribly; he's just missing off the edges, and those things are big strokes coming up at a U.S. Open. So we'll see if he's going with the different. Maybe just trying it out today, see what he thinks. But we'll keep an eye on that with Scotty Scheffler, because you got to make your picks at hornfm.com. It's the Fantasy Golf Challenge. It's brought to you by our friends at Callahan's General Store, and you can pick your 9 golfers, and that's not going to be easy because there's you have to pick Brooks Koepka, do you not?
Well, yeah, and Phil wants to know why Rory's in the top. He said that guy shouldn't be in the top 20 as favorites. He said, I don't gamble anymore. Phil says, I don't gamble anymore, but why is that guy's numbers like that? Why is he in the top 20?
Well, he's not hitting enough.
Come on, Phil.
He's not pin hunting enough. He's hitting the ball good off the tee. But, yeah, well, look, I'm telling you, this is